stains tell stories of pain. Spoons clink and whispers in the night. Beneath the night. Shadows dance beneath the neon light. Who drank the poison, who lit the flame? Everyone's guilty, no one takes the blame. True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Black boots stomping floors of regret. Ashtrays full but we're not done yet. Clock ticks louder, the walls close in. Every scene tastes like original sin. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudged, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudge, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Blood on the counter splattered like rain. Coffee stains tell stories of pain. Spoons clink and whispers in the night. Beneath the night. Shadows dance beneath the neon light. Who drank the poison, who lit the flame? Everyone's guilty, no one takes the blame. True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Black boots stomping floors of regret. Ashtrays full but we're not done yet. Clock ticks louder, the walls close in. Every scene tastes like original sin. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudged, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudge, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. stains tell stories of pain. Spoons clink and whispers in the night. Beneath the night. Shadows dance beneath the neon light. Who drank the poison, who lit the flame? Everyone's guilty, no one takes the blame. True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Black boots stomping floors of regret. Ashtrays full but we're not done yet. Clock ticks louder, the walls close in. Every scene tastes like original sin. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudged, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudge, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Blood on the counter splattered like rain. Coffee stains tell stories of pain. Spoons clink and whispers in the night. Beneath the night. Shadows dance beneath the neon light. Who drank the poison, who lit the flame? Everyone's guilty, no one takes the blame. True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Black boots stomping floors of regret. Ashtrays full but we're not done yet. Clock ticks louder, the walls close in. Every scene tastes like original sin. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudged, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudge, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth's a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. days tell stories of pain. Spoons clinking whispers in the night. Beneath the night. Shadows dance beneath the neon light. Who drank the poison, who lit the flame? Everyone's guilty, no one takes the blame. True Crime Cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth a need. True Crime Cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Black boots stomping floors of regret. Ashtrays full but we're not done yet. Clock ticks louder, the walls close in. Every scene tastes like original sin. Who's the killer, who's the saint? Fingerprints smudge, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end? True Crime Cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth a need. True Crime Cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Who's the killer? Who's the saint? Fingerprints smudge, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend? What's the start, what's the end?
All right. Well, welcome back, guys. Little late night with Dago tonight. Welcome back to the cafe. We're open late tonight. Great to have you guys back for part 2 of what we were reading earlier today. And hopefully I can get that in with the second part of what I wanted to show you guys tonight as well. I appreciate you guys joining me again. And thank you for joining me earlier. I do appreciate that so very much. Sorry about that. Guys, please make sure you hit that like button. Share this out so that we can finish reading this up. Quite a bit of interesting stuff in here. Again, this is the unsealed IGG transcript that was in the sealed hearings that we didn't get to see like the rest of them. So please jump on in here, guys. Grab a seat, get comfortable, grab your coffee, tea, whatever it may be, and please have that conversation with me. I do appreciate you all so very much, as always, for joining us tonight. Share this with your friends, your family, your neighbors, your dog, your cat, whatever, and whoever you think would be interested in hopping in with us, please, and thank you. You know what comes next. Let's do this thing, everybody. All right. Welcome back, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate you all so very much. And please hit the like button. Share this out. Subscribe if you haven't. That is something that's kind of important. And hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss anything we do in here. Thank you so much. I'm kind of excited. I'm finally going to get to do something that I've been trying to do for a couple of days. I felt so bad too, but I'm grateful to see that she's here now. So, yeah, I'm gonna cover that too. Thank you, Miss Tandy, for that. Come on in, grab a seat, get comfortable. A couple days ago, folks, was Miss Donna's birthday. And I was in the midst of this, and I was all wrapped up in it. I was late. I was tired. I wasn't late, but I had missed the first part of the day or something like that. So, and I was getting ready to put this out for Miss Donna, and I completely ended the show without doing it. I felt horrible because I always celebrate people's birthdays in here. So I felt horrible. I see Donna's in here finally again. I was just so upset I didn't get to do this. So I'm doing it tonight before we do anything. And I hope I know it's belated, and I hope that she had a wonderful birthday. So I am so very sorry for this. Let's see real quick who we got in here first. Welcome back, Miss Lucy. Good to see you. Mayhem and Miracles. Always happy to have you. Fizzy Cake. Welcome back to you. Miss Noel. Hello and welcome back to you. Mayhem and Miracles. Leah Story. Welcome back. Great to see you. Charisma Craft. First live coming from Outcast. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Let me see here. Show Miss Noel. Wonderful to have new people in here too. I love it. Mittens for Kittens. Welcome back to you. Of course, the Canadian Cat Lady. Great to see you tonight. Always happy to have you in the house. 300 laps. Good to see you tonight. Good Trouble. Welcome back to you. Great to see you. Peaky X in the house. Good to see you tonight, Peaky. Thank you for joining us. Lisa Wilson. Great to see you. Welcome back. Elizabeth Wagner, thank you for joining us. Yvonne Poole, welcome back for part 2. For those of you that weren't here earlier, what's happening, Legendary? Good to see you, my friend. Great to have you in the house. For those of you that weren't here for part 1, I think most of you were, except for just a couple. Thank you guys for being here. We will re-explain it to you if we need to. And, of course, the tomboy or bomb toy, as she likes to be called. Or does she? Miss Joanne, great to see you as well. The Seahawks fan, Miss Tandy in the house. Sweet Melissa, welcome back to you from Pennsylvania. I've been wondering, what if Jack Showalter was right about saying whoever they are, we're going to get the girls? And that was like, it could be. It very well could be. Welcome, Jody Walters. Great to see you. It very well could be, Cat Lady. That's a good point. Come on in, guys. Beat, Miss Lucy says. Looks like there's 36 of you guys here right now. Hit the like button. Share this out. Scotty, welcome back, brother. Good to see you. Thank you for joining me again. I'm sure it's late where you're at. 1 minute, folks. All right, Miss Donna, this is for you. I had to make it a little funny because I felt so bad. Again, I hope you had an amazing birthday. You did deserve it, and I hope you have a great year leading up to next year, and we can do this again the right way, on time, on the day. So happy belated birthday, and God bless. I love you. I appreciate you for being so supportive of this channel, and I hope you enjoy this and get a little bit of a kick out of it. So happy belated birthday, Miss Donna. And again, I'm so very sorry I missed it the other day. Check it.
Your party. Today, we're here at your party where we've secretly replaced your birthday cake with Donny Osmond.
Happy birthday, Donna. This one's for you.
Donna, it's your birthday. Time to celebrate and sing about who you. Come on, Donna, it's your birthday. Time to sing and shout. Come on, it's what you gotta do. Break it down. Add another candle, another year. It's true. Your 50-something years sure looks
There you go, Miss Donna. Happy birthday. Belated, of course. I hope that you had a great day. My deepest apologies for not playing that the other night. And of course, hang on here real quick. Bring it up. One sec. As I try to do with everybody. Everybody gets a cake as well. There you go. And make a wish and blow it out them candles, ma'am. Please and thank you. All right. All right. All right. All right. I hope that made up for missing it the other day. So sorry. I feel beyond horrible. I don't ever do that. But like I said, I got so wrapped up in what we were doing, I didn't get a chance to do it right. So I made a mistake and I'm sorry. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I hope you enjoyed your day. So there we go. I hope she's still in here. I seen her in here once, but I hope she didn't leave. Let's see here. Done one. Welcome back, CJ. Good to see you. Let's see here. Show. Mins were kittened. Now I don't see her. Oh my God. I hope she didn't leave. Lost Faith. Good to see ya. $48 peeps in the house, guys. Hit the like button. Let's make a match if we can. Please and thank you. Okay. Nothing half-assed. Welcome back. Good to see you. Do your thing and take your time. We're not going nowhere. Yeah, I hope you have midnight at the mansion. Neil, good to see you. I hope everybody's having a good night. I appreciate you guys spending their time in here with me tonight as well. Thank you to my moderators for being here. You are appreciated as always. Love the blank. Yes. Nothing half-assed is awesome. She does some really neat stuff. I love it. For those of you that don't know who, I made a mistake the other night and had to learn the hard way. I didn't even know what I was way off, and then I figured it out and felt like a really big idiot. So nothing half-assed is fancy grace, by the way, for those of you that didn't catch that. Great to have you here, Midnight. But please go check out Nothing's channel. It's really cool. Kent Corbett, good to have you here, friend. Good to see you. Exhibition Demolition Derby. Good to see you, Kent. More reading. I'm going to see if it's possible to skip through some of this to get to a certain point in this. I hope that Alicia comes back, but I will do that. Let's see here. And make sure I got everything ready. Get this link pulled back up. Yes, my wife pointed that out. She's a big fan of Charlie Hunnam, who they're having him play Ed Gein in that new series for Monster. Kind of excited to watch that. Should be good. Come on in, guys. Go get comfortable, if you will. Come on, let me get this pulled up here. Open Sesame. Not that one. This is not cooperating with me right now. Hold on. We will get it booted up. Where did it go? Aha, okay. There we go. All right, come on now. Up we go. Okay. Let me check my page. Come on in, guys. Grab a seat, if you will. Share this out, please. And thank you. Scroll down to where we left off at again. Okay. Aquarian, welcome to you. Gen 7, welcome back. Debbie Ann, hello and welcome back. Sorry, guys, I couldn't get in here earlier. I had some things I had to handle, and I was talking to my mods a little bit, but yeah. I'll try to get through this quick. Mary Holt, welcome back to you. Just 1 minute here. Legendary, good to see you. Good Lord, that moved fast. Did I do that already? How did I do that already? What the hell happened here? That's weird. Okay. Circus Music, welcome back. Good to see you. Okay. Here we go. Yes, sir. B. Why is it so dark? Oh, it's always dark when I do my nighttime shows, you guys. It's dark here. It's late. I got my background thing still going. It's the Haunted Cafe. Not quite yet, but it's coming. P-Fox, welcome back to you. All right. Oh, yeah, I don't know why the screen was so dark. Sorry. It's 6 p.m. It's 9 p.m. here. 9:03. Are you experiencing spatial trapping inside of a time loop? Wow. Doc, welcome back. Good to see you, Doc. Let me see. Show. Good evening, meatballs. Good to see you all again. WB. Sorry. See, simply good to see ya. Let's see. All right. We got 62 of you guys right now. I guess, because I don't want it to go too late. I guess I should just start going. And if anybody should choose to join, I guess I can catch them up how I need to. And or if anybody decides to join me up here, it's already pinned. We can get to that point. Steve needs to think about the way the judge treated them and the prosecution. They probably made it clear, BK. They can make it real hard for him. Yeah. No worries, Aquarian. So, back up real quick here. So, it says now where I left off there. Let's start here. I apologize. I think I got lost there. This is Ann. Are you telling me that because it was a mix that you couldn't have done a manual interpretation on a 95.9.1? She says, because it's a mixed profile, and because if it was, you're saying that it was Brian's DNA, Brian's Koberger's DNA present, that would be a probative comparison in the case, which we have to provide a statistic in order to make that statement. In order to deconvolute a mixture, we are no longer allowed to do those manually. Deconvolute as in separate the mixture into its components. We have a software. That software was not designed for, nor was it validated for doing evidence to evidence comparisons. So now you're speaking my language. Validations are important for integrity. Is that right? Hold on a minute. In forensics, our laboratory uses validations to ensure any new tool is working properly. Now, at some point later, your lab issued a report saying matching the DNA on the sheath with DNA taken from Brian Koberger. Is that right? Hey, Kim. And she says that's correct, and a statistic was provided. So now I want to talk about what you're talking about when we say the sheath. You're familiar with what happened with the sheath for swabbing. Is that right? She says, I've seen the sheath and I know how our laboratory performs swabbing of evidence, but I did not swab that item of evidence, nor did I see it being swabbed. Imagine that. And says, as I understand it, though, you've read the lab notes. Answer was, at one point, I believe I did read the notes, and I think I was asked a question, and the analyst was out of town or something. Or I believe I was at, yeah. And then Ann goes and says, and I think you answered that question to law enforcement after consulting somebody else who was with the swabber when the sheath was swabbed. Is that right? She said, it's sounding familiar. And Ann says, if I understand the lab reports, it's a single source on the knife sheath. Is that right? She says, correct. So does that mean that it's only one person in that area? She says, yes, that was detected through our testing. And says, so then tell me where you think that sheath was swabbed for purposes of DNA collection. She says, I believe the analyst swabbed there's kind of a snap or a button that was the top of the snap. And that's the area that was swabbed. Do you guys hear what I just said? Listen real close to that. I believe that the analyst swabbed if there's a pause and then it says there's kind of a snap or a button that was the top of the snap. And that's the area that was swabbed. There were other areas on it sampled as well. Did anybody else catch what that said as compared to how I read that? Because it does seem to be interesting the way that was written. We understood. Now I'm going to tell you something. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, okay? We understood that they swabbed that part inside the snap right there. Not that part, which is the top, okay? Now, one more time, I'm going to read this. It says, I believe the analyst swabbed the pause. There's kind of a snap or a button that was the top of the snap. And that's the area that was swabbed. So, okay, SRB, you heard that. Faith heard that. They're saying that's the top of the snap, folks. But later Ann clarifies it was the inner snap. That's what she meant. Okay. It's the first time I've heard that. So I just wanted to clarify that that's what they were saying. Just in case. That way we know everything. Okay. There were other areas on it sampled as well. So for the purposes of unknown male A that you're telling us later came back to Brian, that's the only place that I want to talk about right now. Are we on top of the button, the outside, or on the inside? Okay, I see where we're at. The socket portion of the button. She answers and says, I know on the top. I don't recall if she swabbed the underside or not. I'd have to look at the notes again. Ann says, do you know if that sheath was part of the preserved, was part of that preserved for fingerprinting? She says the swabbing was done first. That's our laboratory standard order of processing. If DNA is needed and fingerprints, they will work together, essentially latent. Excuse me. Fingerprints will say we can see some probable ridge details. So if you can avoid this area after DNA says we want to swab this, and they come to a decision of what would best suit that item of evidence to determine where to swab. So the swabbing takes place first. Then Ann says, I think I don't have any other questions right now. Thank you. Hitler pops in and says, so how long do you think you have? I'm just trying to gauge a break here. Mr. Nye says, I'd say 10 minutes. Hitler says, then let's take 10 minutes and we'll be back. And then they have a recess. Well, they didn't fix that snap thing there at all. They said that there. RC3, good to see you. Paula, welcome back. Oh, well, I'm reading it, and I'm sure I haven't gotten to some part yet, but either way, it's interesting though that read at first. So if there's another part to this, then I'm sure we'll get to it. Yeah, because some of this was actually in the court itself. This is just a transcript from the part that was hidden. So now, did we already go through the unredacted part? Are we past that yet? Or the redacted part, I'm sorry. From, you know what I'm talking about, you guys. The part that was the hidden thing. You know what I'm talking about. Welcome, Stitches. Good to see you. Because I'm not gonna, if I start reading into the part that we heard the testimony of, I don't want, I only want to read the part of the hearing that was hidden. Inside the top snap is how you, well, see, if you read back to that, she doesn't say inside anything. Unless, let me see, if I understand, it's the single source knife sheath, right? Purposely, the analyst swabbed the pause. There's kind of a snap or a button that was the top of the snap. That's the area that was swabbed. There were other areas on it sampled as well. And then she says again, and says, for the purposes of unknown male A that you're telling us later came back to Brian Koberger, that's the only place that I want to talk about right now. Are we on the top of the button, the outside, or on the inside, the socket portion of the button? Ann asks. And Nolan says, I know on the top. I don't recall if she swabbed the underside or not, and I'd have to look at her notes again. See, that's how I refer to it. I guess not everybody does that, but this is the female receiver. This is the male part of the snap, okay? I guess not everybody refers to it that way, but I didn't see how you saw that. If she means it somewhere else down through here, I guess, whatever. That's fine. Right. That's 100%. I agree with that. Anyway, whatever. We'll come back to it if we need to. Catch up to where I was now. So you talked a little bit about policies and procedures in the lab. Do you recall that testimony? Yes. And you talked about that there are policies and procedures related specifically to DNA. Is that correct? Correct. As part of those policies and procedures, does the lab need to have a legitimate reason to test DNA? Yes. We only test DNA related to criminal investigations or to death investigations. And it needs to be an item that will answer a probative question in a case. So, for example, if someone at the lab wanted to test DNA out of curiosity about medical information, that would not be consistent with that policy. We don't do curiosity testing, and none of our testing would provide medical information. You also testified that you were involved in, or maybe primarily responsible for, developing the scope of work request for Othram. Is that correct? I was part of that, yes. Welcome, Annie Ruler. See, I initially thought that that was said too, but it hasn't been stated yet. In what is a scope of work request? That just goes with, and this was my first one that I've done, so I don't have vast experience in this process. But when you're going to contract with a vendor, you're going through and outlining what we expect them to do as part of that. And what do you recall about this request specifically? What were you requesting Othram to do? Specifically, we were requesting them, if necessary, to perform DNA extraction, pulling the DNA out of the cells on an item of evidence. If necessary, our laboratory typically did that. We were requesting them to generate a SNP profile using either SNP array or whole genome sequencing. We were requesting them to then upload that to all public databases that allow law enforcement samples. We were requesting them to generate a report, and we were requesting them to notify us or to complete the lab portion of the work. Generation of that profile within 60 days, I believe. I believe that there was also information in there about non-publicly giving out our case information to the public without our express permission. Jesus, sorry. Things of that nature. And then she said, Ann says, was there anything in the scope of work that requested was related to medical information? She says no. Okay, hold on a minute. If that's the case, then I'll just go from there forward because so they went through that whole thing, and then it comes back to a redirect. Okay. And Ann says, so we were talking at the end of my questions and where Mr. Nye just left off with you about where the sheath would have been swabbed. She says, reading the email that's been placed in front of you, does that refresh your recollection about what you believed to be the place the sheath was swabbed? And she says, very much so. So where was it swabbed? The knife was swabbed. Wait. The knife was swabbed the entire. Wait, can I? Hitler says, did you say the knife was swabbed? And the witness says, sorry, the knife sheath. And am I allowed to read it? And says, you're supposed to read it and let it refresh your recollection and then not read it, but just tell me a summary of where it was. So the answer comes out then with the entire leather portion of the strap, both top and bottom, and then the underside of the button. I misspoke. She did not swab the top of the button because that was determined to be the most likely place for fingerprints to be found. Okay, we're good then. So she misspoke on that, obviously. The underside of the button was it the part that the sticky part would go into, or the sticky out part, or both. I can't tell from this. I would have to look at her notes. Okay, good enough. Thank you. A couple of follow-up questions for you. You answered a lot of questions for Mr. Nye about medical information and that your lab does not do testing for medical. Is that because you do STR or YSTR testing, not SNP testing? Correct. Our laboratory performs both STR and YSTRs, and those don't yield medical information. The MOU that you received, and remember the Department of Justice in interim policy applied to that circumstance. In this case, do you know who else the interim policy applies to? She says, based on what is stated in the interim policy, it applies to public laboratories like ours that receive federal funding in cases where federal funding is being used. Welcome back, Hemisphere. Curious Rose, good to see you tonight. All right, so I'm glad that we got that cleared up because that just that was bugging me there. 1 second. Okay. So that's dealt with. That's something that I thought was kind of important. 1 second here. Lost my spot for a minute. And in Mr. Koberger's case, there was federal funding being used. And to my knowledge, I don't know if we did use federal funding in this case. Do you recall talking to me a couple days ago? Yes. And do you recall telling me that you did? I do recall telling you that we had your grant in place. But again, I authorized payment of the invoice. 1 second. Okay. I do recall telling you that we had a grant in place, but again, I authorized payment of the invoice, but which fund the funds come out of, I don't know, and I apologize if I misspoke. And are you aware that the FBI FIG unit, I guess, took over and the FBI finished the genetic genealogy after Othram was stopped? I'm aware that we were authorized to turn it over, but as to what happened after that, I do not know. Okay, one more question for you. You talked to Mr. Nye a bit about not comparing the sample 9591 to the sheath DNA. And I had asked you a little bit about your policy that allowed you to do the hand search. The manual search on that, your policy does allow to do comparison, like it's either excluded or not excluded. Though, is that right? And I'm looking at policy 4.5.6. She says, no, we can't report an exclusion. We can report an exclusion. They aren't from the same source, but in order to say they are from the same source, considering that they're from completely different areas, no, we would have to provide a statistic, and we can't do that. But you could have looked at it and said that it's not excluded. That would be an indication that it's possible. And we would have to provide a statistic for that. And we have, we have pause. So our biology section, you may be looking at our analytical methods biology section, has their own quality manual for, and that further discusses this. It says, Your Honor, if I can have her shown this document to see if we can refresh her memory. Hitler says, for the record, identify what you're showing her. Anne says, what I'm showing her are a couple pages out of the biology manual for the Idaho State Police Forensics Lab that is available online. She says, now, so Ms. Nellen, if you'll look at the very bottom one, that's the one that I'm having trouble squaring with your testimony. And if that refreshes your recollection or helps me understand. Ms. Nellen says, so what this is talking about is that it may be beneficial to make a qualitative statement that evidence to evidence comparisons. However, there is another section of our biology quality manual that specifically states if it's a probative comparison, a statistic must be provided. But what this is saying so far, for instance, if you're in one room in a scene and there's multiple swabs that are tested, that we can say these are consistent or these appear to be from the same unknown individual. Now, if I'm going to say that these are from John Doe, I have to provide a statistic for each item and do a comparison of each item. Good Lord, folks, 1 second. This transcript is from the Unsealed IgG sealed hearing transcript. Sorry. Warren, welcome. Welcome, tea time. And like I said, I think I went through the parts that at this point that were sealed in the hearing. I'm pretty sure that the rest of this, I was looking forward earlier, and I think the rest of this, did we or did we not have actually hear this testimony? Somebody please help me here with this. I'm pretty sure we did. Am I right or am I wrong, if anybody remembers? During the hearing. Because they only sealed the first part of the hearing, which is the part that we've covered already. I'm pretty sure we didn't lose the... Okay. Then I'm thinking of a different hearing then. I'm sorry. I thought that they only sealed the first part, which is what we covered already. So I'm wrong. Okay. Wait, this is the entire transcript for the Frank's IG. Yeah. That's the one I meant. I'm sorry. The way it was listed to me earlier. Hold on. Wait a minute. This is not the hearing that was sealed then? Why am I reading this one then? I thought this was the one that she told me to pull up. This is the one she sent me in the email. The entire closed hearing. Okay, then. All right. I was at least right about that. January 23rd. Okay. I thought that was right. I thought only part of that. I don't remember. Jesus. Okay. It's been a while. I'm thinking of a different hearing. This was completely closed to the public. Okay. But they released a transcript in February. Okay. Why don't I remember getting this transcript, you guys? That's insane. So let me see what more we have. 81 down to, okay. Let's see here, 1 minute. Did you just yell at me? Are you yelling at me, Lucy? I think she's yelling at me, you guys. No, I'm not laughing at all. Should I be laughing? Do you want me to be laughing? You're laughing, though. Now, I don't know how I missed this, is what I don't understand. I'm kind of frustrated, to be honest with you, that I missed this entire document when it came out after. I remember the hearing, and I was getting this hearing confused with another hearing that we, like, I think half of it was sealed, the other half was open to the public. I don't know why I have that confused, and I don't know how I missed this document coming out. So I'm kind of frustrated about that. I'm not upset with you. This document's nuts. I agree. And it's very interesting. I don't remember any of this stuff. Okay. Is the day the DNA fridge broke, and the transcript is what happened on the day previous. That's interesting. You remember me reading this, Fizzy? Because I don't remember reading this. Any of this. I don't remember reading this. I mean, this is nuts. Hey, Kat. Welcome back, hon. You remember me reading it? Busy says yes. 100%. Jesus God. I'm losing my mind, you guys. Okay, so we did go through this because I've never missed a document, you guys, and I don't understand how I don't remember this. It's weird. Because we were making fun of Payne and his, I don't remember. Was it that one or was that the other one where they had him testify? The same. See, I thought that was the one where he was up there the same time that Cy Ray was up there. The Guilters forgot it too. I know for sure I read it 2 times, and also Maud for Miss Potts when she read it, and listened to Jules read it after those 4 times. Everything about this is a blur. Okay, so if I read this already, I'm asking you guys, do you want me to continue reading this if I read this already? I don't remember this. Some of this stuff is different to me. So, do you want me to continue reading this if you're saying I read this, or do you want me to stop and go on to the next thing we're going to look at? And the Othram guy was there that day, and the prosecution just decided last minute not to bring him to the stand. Yeah. Yes, and you've read this several times, but just, oh, Jesus. Okay. I was probably traumatized. I don't remember it. Read it several times. Never gets old. It's an interesting document for sure. Maybe that's why I don't remember reading it, because it is kind of like, what, there's just been so much stuff. All right, what do you guys want me to do? You want me to keep going, or do you want me to move on to something different since you're saying that I read it? Yes, you can, Legendary. Shut up. You're a mess, bro. Why, Tomboy? What's wrong now? No, I don't want you guys to get bored and like bolt. That's why I'm saying it's up to you guys, Steve. If I've already read this, do you guys want me to keep reading this, or are you guys into this enough that you want me to keep reading this? I don't. It's up to you guys. This is for you guys, because I have other stuff that we can review too that I planned on doing. Making me make decisions is worse than my wife. You pick where we're gonna go to dinner. No, you pick. That's what it feels like. It's crazy. Read on. Okay.
Oh,
Welcome, you're good to see you, bud. Okay, so can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Did you get anything out of this yet?
Yeah, definitely. It was frustrating me because I didn't remember reading it.
There was a reason for it to be closed, though. I was just wondering if there was anything that's significant as to why they had part of it closed and the rest of it was open that day.
Well, no, this one, Lucy said this was fully closed to the public completely. I do remember that hearing, but I had this one confused with another one that was half and half. You know what I mean? That's all right though.
Yeah, that was the only one that I can remember, but that's been a
There's
long time
Doc Terry.
ago.
Good to see you. Yeah, no, okay. All right, on we go. So, okay, one more question for you. Do you talk to Mr. Nye a bit about not comparing the sample 9591 to the sheath DNA? And I have asked you a little bit about your policy that allowed you to do the hand search, the manual search on that. Your policy does not allow you to do that comparison, like it's either excluded or not excluded, though. Is that right? And I'm looking at policy 456. Okay, so it says we can report an exclusion of they aren't from the same source, but in order to say they are from the same source, considering that they're from completely different areas, no, we would have to provide a statistic, and we can't do that. And says, but you could have looked at it and said it's not excluded. And the answer to that was that would be an indication that it's possible, and we would have to provide a statistic for that. And we have. So our biology section, you may be looking at our analytical methods section. I know I already read that. I just wanted to make sure I covered it all. They have their own quality manual that further discusses this and says, Your Honor, if I can have this. Okay, yeah, we did all that. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, if you look at the very bottom one, I'm having trouble squaring with your testimony. If that refreshes your recollection, yes, I read that. Where did I leave off with this, you guys? Right here. But what this is saying so far, for instance, if you're in one room in a scene and there's multiple swabs that are tested, we can say that these are consistent or these appear to be from the same unknown individual. Now, if I'm going to say that these are from John Doe, I have to provide a statistic for each item and do a comparison of each item. Did I hear you say that you could compare if they're probative? If it's, which that wouldn't be in my mind, a probative comparison. We have multiple items of evidence in the same room in a scene. We can say they appear to be consistent with the same unknown individual. That's not making a statement about who that individual might be. And if I'm making a statement about who might be the source of that, then that is a probative comparison, and I need to provide a statistic. So before you make the comparison where maybe you write exclusion, you don't know if it's excluded or included, though. Is that right? Answer is, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? Yeah. Yes. Or yeah, I'm sorry. Let me try and explain what I'm getting at. I'm not understanding why 95 dash or .9.1 couldn't have been manually looked at to do a manual comparison to the sheath DNA. Just to say excluded or not when male E was compared to multiple items of evidence and it was excluded. But you don't know that until you do the comparison, right? So you can look at it manually, but if we're not making a probative statement, then we need to provide a statistic. And male E was also a single source, which is different than a mixture of DNA from multiple people. So next question answers. All right. I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you. Maybe I can take those pages back from you. Thank you, Hitler says. You can call your next witness and call Matthew Gamet or Gamut. The clerk says, do you, okay, they swear him in, all that fun stuff. Will you please state your name? Yes, my name's Matthew Gamet or Gamet, whatever you say. How are you employed? I'm employed with Idaho State Police Forensic Services, and I'm a laboratory system director. And says, what does that mean to be the laboratory system director? I oversee operations of the laboratory system, and I oversee anything from purchasing, procurement, contract, human resources type issues, and hiring terminations. I also oversee things like just how the laboratory operates day to day. And how long have you held that role? I've been with Idaho State Police Forensic Services for just about 16 years, and I believe that I've held this current role for about 10. Do you have prior experience in a similar line of work? Says, I do. Prior to working for Idaho State Police, I worked for Washington State Patrol as a DNA analyst and also a crime scene responder. And how are you educated? I have a bachelor's degree from Brigham Young. I also have a master's degree from Brigham Young, and then I have continuing certificates from both West Virginia University and UC Davis. Are you involved in the collaborative group NTVIC? I am. And what is that group? So that is the National Technology Implementation Collaborative. So currently my role there is to chair that group. And says, as it relates to forensic investigative genetic genealogy, what's the group's role with that field? Currently, we're working on, we have several different subcommittees in our forensic investigative genetic genealogy group. What that group is focused on is anything from policies, procedures, contracts, things of that nature, looking at the implementation of that technology into public forensic science laboratories. Why is that important? Well, why is the work of the group important? Let me ask the question better. Why is it important to have policies and procedures in any public forensic science? Shoot, folks, hold on. I gotta let my dog in.
Any public forensic science laboratory, we went to make sure the implement technology well, that we implement it in a robust way, that it can be relied upon for things such as courts. And so we always want to make sure that when we're implementing a technology, that we take a look at how that technology is being used and that we apply it well in the public laboratory space.
All right, sorry about that. Where was I?
Go ahead, scroll down a little bit more. I got everything read up to the. Is that the question? Is that important to the public trust? I believe so. Yes. Are there other organizations that you're involved in the course of your work? Yes. I'm involved with several other forensic science organizations. How
Okay, cool.
about ASUID? He said yes. What is that one? ASCID, the American Society of Crime Lab Directors. What is the purpose of that group? So that that's the group of laboratory directors. It could be a laboratory managers, quality managers, laboratory leaders, and essence and members of that organization. What is your role in with that group? Currently, I report to the board of directors as the CFSO, the Consortium of Forensic Science Organization. Oh, I can't even for the organization of ASCLD. I can't pronounce that word. Did you have a role in deciding
Oh, the
that
liaison. Gotcha.
Othram Labs should contract with Idaho State Police Forensic Labs? I did have a role, yes. What was your role? My role was, or my role would be as the laboratory system director, making a decision on contracts that would be awarded. Did you decide that Ortham should receive the contract? I did not. Did you work on the contract with Ortham? I need to answer the that question in a little bit different way than you asked it. If you'll give me some leeway, sure. I did not work specifically on the contract with Ortham. However, I worked on the specifications that led to the contract being awarded to Ortham. The specifications of uh, you worked on, did those end up being part of the contract with Ortham? He said yes. What were those specifications? So there were a lot of specifications within the scope of work that we develop and send out for general bid purposes. As we bid as a state agency, as we bid for contracts, we send out specifications that anyone has to comply with a as they gave us their documents and responses back on those things. When we we have the ability to look at and make sure they are compliant with specifications that we have sent out. What were the specifications for Arthur? There were a lot of specifications sent out on the request for proposals. Intent to build or intent to bid. There there were a lot of different specifications that were sent out. Again, I have no recollections of some of them. I don't have a full memory of all of them. Will you, we, I'm sorry, will you share with us what you do recall? So, in in the contract, so in that contract was specified that they use the interim policy. Also, we also would put things in there about them following environmental protection type provisions, and the federal government requires us to abide by. It also would have other things like reporting requirements back to us, billing procedures, and a lot of different conditions we put in that to specify how they are going to work with us. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Um,
Go ahead, Dave.
when you say interim policy, are you referring to the Department of Justice interim policy? Yes. Did you care if they were accredited, if they were accredited lab, an accredited lab? So at this time, as we were looking for a forensic investigative genetic genealogy vendor or company to provide these services for us, we were not aware of any companies at that time that were accredited. Since that time, though, are you aware that companies do become accredited? Absolutely. Currently, there are definitely companies that are accredited in these services. At the time that this contract was bid, there were none to my knowledge. Did you look at the procedures and protocols of Othram before you decided? So I don't recall specifically myself reviewing those criteria. I know that there were manuals, protocols that were provided back to us at that part of the bid. Generally, I would have provided, or I would provide those to others within our laboratory that were more qualified than I was looking at the specific technology. And I am not qualified in FIG analysis. Do you recall if their instruments were validated? I do not recall. Would that be important to have their instruments validated? Validation is up to each laboratory and how they accomplish that. I can't speak to the working practices of Othram Laboratories. Does Idaho State Police Forensics Lab validate their equipment? Yes, they do. And is that important to do that? To us as an accredited laboratory, yes, that is an important part. How about retention of data or the ability to go back and rebuild the work or look at the work that was done? So we retain in our cases, we retain our electronic data. We retain any other notes and things that we make as part of our case records, part of our case file. We provide those to the investigators, to the court as a normal business practice. So did Othram do that? In this case, I believe that they gave us a report or what was identified as a preliminary report. The contract specifies that they would keep any data or other things associated with that. For our purposes, we were most concerned that that data or anything else not be released to any other parties. So our concern was more about data security, data privacy, and so in this case, I don't know if they have other data or other records that they have kept, or they have retained. we had asked them, we had asked them as part of the termination in this case of our work that they would preserve those things or that they would communicate with both the prosecutor's office and with Moscow PD if any of that information was to be disposed or whatnot. Okay, keep it or tell somebody before you get rid of it. Am I understanding that? Our specification was that it stopped our process with them, that we were no longer in a contractual obligation with them on this case. Essentially, we were transferring ownership of anything on this case between them and Moscow PD and the prosecutor's office. So, the report that you ended up receiving from them, are you aware that that report doesn't provide details of how they did their work? I have seen the report, yes, and I have seen what was in the report. Would you agree that that's what's in the report as far different than what the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab produces by way of notes and photographs in connection with its work? We were not provided with analytical notes. We were not provided with data to my knowledge. We were provided with what was identified to me as a preliminary report, which contained some of their genealogical work on the case and other things such as potential nationalities. Is that different than what you produce when you produce a report at your lab? It's hard for me to answer that question because it's a different report. It's a different type of analysis, so I can't make a qualification there. I can tell you in our DNA reports, we release the report, we release the analyst's notes as a general practice. We have the electronic data and other things available for disclosure. But that's our general practice. I cannot speak to the process as Othram Labs and and what they disclose, nor can I speak to what is normal for the release in a FIG case. Are you familiar with how you come up with a SNP, with that process where you get from a DNA sample to SNP? In general, yes, but I'm not qualified in FIG analysis. That's both of them now that are not qualified. Okay, I won't go too far with that. Are you familiar with how you get from a DNA sample to an STR sample for the lab purposes? Yes. Are there similarities between the two processes from getting pieces of DNA to an end result profile that you can use? Similarities in process as far as extraction and quantitation of DNA, but as far as instrumentation used methods and those kinds of things, very different processes. So some of the documents that Idaho State Police Forensic Lab produces that shows us those results, those would be similar to what you would expect to see with an SMP. I would assume, again, I'm not qualified in FIG analysis, so I can't speak to what documents they may or may not produce. Let's move from there. Thank you for that. And let's talk about Othram being involved in the case that winds up being why we're here today. What communication did you have with Othram on the early end of that process? So to my recollection, our early communication on this case was providing them with DNA that they would be able to develop, hopefully, an investigative lead for us on a case. After that sample, to my knowledge, had been that we had followed our processes through and that we had put a sample into CODIS, that we had not received any hits off of CODIS. And then we would proceed with the next step of testing. We did have a contractual relationship with them since early in, and I believe 2021. And so we did have a contract with them in place. Was this the first case that Othram worked pursuant to that contract? And the answer was no, I don't believe so. So how did they get the DNA? The DNA sample itself? That DNA sample was delivered by Moscow police in person to them at Othram Labs. Did you have any role in that part? I did. What did you do? I accompanied the officer from Boise down to Houston and down to the Othram laboratory. I didn't have possession of the sample, but I was with the investigator that did. After that sample was delivered, did you have communications with the Othram further? Yes. And what were those? So I had communications to my memory with them about what type of analysis we were asking them to do. Also, what type of searching. I remember they asked specifically for consent to do certain types of searching. We had to authorize things through memos and whatnot of them doing certain searching. Specifically, I believe that it was family tree DNA that they needed an authorization for. I remember having significant discussion with them about why STR testing and if or how that would be accomplished. So why did you want Othram to do the YSTR testing? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Hey, Dago.
Yep.
We come to a stop real quick. Go up a little bit. I want to see if you can remember something. Keep going up.
Okay.
Hold on. Hold on. Scroll down a little bit. I have to reread it because there was something that's significant. Okay. Remember, I think it was in the Moscow uh, docks that an officer, I cannot remember, said that he took some DNA to Houston. Remember?
I do.
So this guy is a forensic from uh, the state of Idaho, right? It
Yes.
may not be anything of significance. I just find it that why wouldn't they add this whoever this guy is in the Moscow reports?
Why didn't they put the officer's name?
Yeah,
I don't know. I was
because
kind of
I don't.
wondering that when I was reading back to this a little bit ago. I remember reading the report and they gave the officer's name of who did it, but I believe they did. I don't know why they wouldn't add his name unless that person didn't. Although you would think that that person would know the officer's name if they spent that trip with him. You know what I mean?
Did they
Uh,
travel together, or did he leave at a different time?
I mean, the way it sounds here is that they did, but I don't remember reading that in the other report that there was, or do I? I don't know, you guys. I'm losing my mind.
I remember specifically. It was
I
it
mean,
was
it
him.
sounds like they left. Yeah, they left. They said officer, but they didn't say officer who. And I think in the other report, the Moscow report, this is Gamut here. That is they're talking to. Who was the Moscow PD officer? Was it Blaker or was it somebody else?
He said I accompanied the officer from Boise down to Houston and down to the Othram laboratory.
No, it wasn't a Moscow officer. That's right. It was an ISP officer.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a Moscow officer. It was
No,
both.
I think it was an ISP officer we were reading. So it was Officer Blank. um,
Well, it must have been one of those. I can't
I
even
thought
remember specifically which one. It had to be from the state police docs. Then.
I thought that they gave his name, but I guess I'm wrong. That's crazy. Why would you redact a police officer's name when we know that there's that's crazy.
It just goes along with a lot about what we're saying about this case. It's a
Right.
whole lot of crazy. It's just a puzzle piece here and there, and it's all over the place. And we're just trying to put it all together, and then we get to a certain point, and we got to put it all back together. And we tear it all back apart, and put it all back together again. It's crazy.
That's what we do. Agreed.
It's crazy.
All right, Fizzy. I'm sorry if I bored you to death reading this and put you to sleep. I'm so sorry. I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Um Let me get back to where I was here. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all good. Yeah, I remember the YSTR. So what? It's right at the bottom. Uh, they go,
There we
why
go.
did
Yeah,
you
right
want to
there.
start Arthur?
Yep. Okay. So the reason for YSTR testing is to utilize different investigative databases that might be out there. I don't believe in this case that we ever did YSTR testing. A lot of the discussion was around preservation of the sample or as much of the sample as we could preserve, which I'm pretty sure there was nothing preserved if we were told right. Or from what we were told before, but okay. And so our recommendation to them was to not proceed with that type of testing at this time to kind of see where we were able to go with the traditional SNP testing with the whole genome sequencing. I'm sorry. And then we would maybe potentially revisit YSTR testing. No problem, Fizzy. Hope you have a great night. I do remember some discussion with David Middleman at Othram about if they were able to bootstrap some of the whole genome sequencing in order to develop a Y profile that could be searchable from the data that they had already developed instead of using additional sample to specifically develop a Y STR profile or any kind of a Y profile. What does that mean, bootstrapping? Take me back. They have this DNA sample, and then do they have they done those steps to get to their SMP before you want bootstrapping done, or at what stage are you talking about? Essentially, it was our understanding that they were in the process of or already had obtained a whole genome sequencing profile. And so our question to them was, is there a way to develop YSCR profile from the genetic information that you already have through the other method of testing? And that's what you mean by bootstrap. Add a different kind of analysis? Correct. Well, why would you want to do that? Again, to see if there was a potential to search Y databases that might be available out there to identify genetic lineages. So what does that mean, genetic lineages? So Y chromosome is passed down from father to son. So we would be looking to see if we can identify a family line through tracking the Y chromosome DNA from father to son, to grandfather, all the way down to grandson, and potentially over multiple generations. So it would tie us into a family line that could be investigated further. Did Othram bootstrap and get the YSTR for you? To my knowledge, they never did anything with YSTR testing, and to my recollection, with my discussions with David, that wasn't possible with the data that he had at the point. At that point, it was impossible. That it was not possible. Correct. Thank you. I do not believe that was attempted. Again, I'm not familiar with the technology that he would have had to use to do such a thing. So I'm not aware if that was possible, if the technology didn't exist. I just don't know. Okay. At some point, did Othram talk to you about the work that they were doing? Yes. And did they have a recommendation? They did. They had at least one recommendation that I remember. When was that conversation? I don't remember exactly when that conversation happened. Well, let's put it between. Well, when did they get the DNA to start with? So they got the DNA November 22nd, I believe. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, wait. No, that's right. And when they were notified to stop work was, I believe the official notification was on December 10th. That's right. That's crazy. If I remember correctly. Welcome, Mayhem. Meanie, good to see you as well. So when they came back to you with some recommendations, was that in relation to stop work? Probably early in December, I'm guessing. The actual work, the laboratory, what I would call the wet work in the laboratory, would be the first couple of weeks, probably before they would have turned it over to the genealogist to be searching in the database and those sort of things. To make sure I'm with you, wet work means DNA sample to where we get to those whole genome sequencing, and then where we get to the SMP. I know I'm skipping steps, but that's the wet work. Answer says correct. The laboratory work, so anything that would be done in the physical laboratory, handling the sample, putting it into tubes, adding liquids, things of that nature, that would be done in the laboratory. Sequencing on an instrument, that would all be done in the first week, several weeks. So after that, they have a recommendation for you. Correct. What's their recommendation to you? Their recommendation, to my memory, to my recall, was that they had several individuals that had the potential to be of interest in this investigation. Stop right there. They had several individuals that had the potential to be of interest in this investigation.
Really?
Hmm.
Things that make you go,
Where you at, Lucy?
Their recommendation. And this recommendation was from who? Who was their recommendation
This is from
from?
the Othram lab. I do believe that that's what this is saying here. One more time. Their recommendation, to my memory, to my recall, was that they had several individuals that had the potential to be of interest in this investigation. They asked us if, to further their family tree building, if we could be in contact with individuals and see if they were willing to contribute information into the database that they were using in order to further the family tree building and further the geological work. And we're in a closed setting here, so I'm going to ask you to give me the last name. I don't recall the last name. I'm sorry. Wow, isn't that convenient? Was it your understanding that these were 4 brothers? Yes. Okay, what did you do in relationship to these 4 brothers? So we did some cursory work, just looking in publicly accessible information, literally Google searches and things of that nature. It is the 4 brothers. Okay. So what our approach was is we didn't want to be approaching people, especially with an investigation of this nature. What really had nothing to do with anything. We just wanted to make sure there was some reason why Othram Labs was asking us to go and ask these individuals to put their DNA into the database that law enforcement can search. So we just did some work to build just very cursory family trees to see what connections these individuals might have had to verify these individuals were indeed brothers, things of that nature. Did you verify they were 4 brothers? I don't know that we would use the word verify, but we believe that the information was reliable that they had given us based on the publicly accessible information. Now, I know that you said you can't remember the last name of those brothers. We're here today, and Brian Koberger's name has been on the news for 2 years. You know his name. That wasn't the last name. That was not the last name. What the fuck?
There's your alternate perpetrators. And you think Hitler's ears didn't perk up when he said that?
See, I was under the understanding that this is what I never understood about this whole 4 brothers thing. After you did the cursory work and the family tree, what was the next thing you did in relation to these 4 brothers? We, at some point, and I don't remember exactly when, we asked our investigator, Detective Vicky Gooch, with the ISP to reach out to one of the 4 brothers that we believe had put information into a genealogical database and ask him if he would be willing to upload that into one of these databases so that they could further build out and use that information. She was, I believe, initially able to contact the individual. He was skeptical about her contact. And so there was another contact, a 3-way call made between myself, Vicky, and this individual for purposes of trying to validate that this was indeed a law enforcement investigation. This was indeed a legitimate request. I'm sorry. And at that point, that individual requested not to be contacted again, was not interested in participating. Okay, you guys, I'm a little bit, I got to be honest with you, I'm confused with this, okay? They were on the Koberger tree, but on a different branch. So This is what we talked about before about the wrong branch. Remember that? So the four brothers, they weren't on. Okay, here's my question though. They weren't, from what I'm understanding, and I want to make sure that this makes sense. They weren't on the direct link to Michael Koberger per se. I'm guessing that leads directly to Brian, but they were on another part of this. Is that what this is saying?
So they had not implicated Brian Koberger at all, from what he's saying, right?
They had to really do some work to get to him with this. That's how I'm seeing this. Okay, I mean, like, really do some work. You know, I gotta wonder. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna go there tonight with that thought. But okay, congratulations, James. By the way, I just realized that, my friend.
I'm sorry, my wife came in. I had to.
No, you're all right. I'm not talking about you. No, you're fine, bud. Don't worry about that. So during the time leading up to the phone call, when you were building your family tree, I know none of the four brothers had the last name Koberger. That name didn't come up when you were building the family tree either, did it? No. After that brother said, don't contact me again, what was the next thing you did? So I don't remember again exactly when the time frame was with that, but I know that there were active discussions about having a phone call with the agency and the prosecutor's office about the work that was being done. They were requesting updates from us of what is in Othram Laboratory doing and where are you at in the investigation, those types of things. Let's see here. I think what Ann Taylor is getting at is that the progress from this there was too fast. Yeah, that's a good. I'm sorry, Lucy. I didn't see it. If you did, my apologies. I miss a lot, unfortunately, until I fall into it myself. So nothing says to get outside of the name Koberger, it would have to be a female that married, or that's what I thought. That's what I thought on the mom's side of the tree. Okay, but if that's the case, then what they said about the garbage when they did the trash pull, then it showed up under his father's name, which is how they got to him, was from his dad. So that makes no sense then, does it? Well, didn't they say mitochondrial DNA? Explained what? I mean, one of the parents could have been adopted, or one of the parents' parents could have been adopted. That doesn't mean anything. I don't know how that works either, but that's what I thought. Nothing, and that's what I'm saying. They told us that they got to him through the DNA that they got off of the garbage from his dad. So that doesn't match, in my opinion. That's what I didn't understand about this IgG stuff. Okay. Mitochondrial comes from mom. That's what I thought. Yeah, that I knew.
It's confusing to me too, Dago, because every time I turn up, it's always a unknown male DNA. Okay, if you know it's male, then you ought to know the name of it. That's what I'm thinking.
So one of the four brothers had info in the database, and the cops asked him to add it to one that they were allowed to search so that they could build out They could build out the profile, and then the FBI searched the other databases and 2 times this profile. I don't know, Midnight. I don't know. I'm like I said, this is new to me too. This is one thing that I've not been real good with, is this whole DNA thing. I'm trying to get it, but it's just never processed for me. Other than the basic side to it. It sounds like that brother should file a civil suit for violation of his Fourth Amendment rights, since he specifically denied them his DNA. It's a good point. Lucy said no. Nope. Then I'm just gonna keep reading, even though I have no idea what I'm reading to you guys, because I just don't get it. I'm sorry. So after the brother said, "Don't contact me again," what was the next thing you did? I don't remember. Okay, moving on. I read that. With the agency, the prosecutor's office, about the work that was being done, they were requesting updates from us. Blah blah blah. We were giving them updates via telephonic conference with them, just giving them updates on we've delivered the sample, we've done this, these sorts of updates. And then they requested a meeting with us to talk about the testing. These conferences, who participated in those? Most of the time, to my memory, it was usually Idaho State Police detectives. The prosecutor's office may have also been privy to some of those discussions. And again, just general updates about where we were in the process. So tell me about this meeting. It sounds like there's a big meeting that happens. There was a meeting, to my knowledge, and I don't remember exactly when, but probably the morning of the 10th. I don't remember exactly when, but probably the morning of the 10th. You just completely contradicted yourself, but okay. When we had a meeting, telephonic meeting, is in my memory, with representatives from Moscow PD. I believe FBI had representatives on the phone call. ISP, I believe. Myself, ISP legal counsel, and I believe that the colonel of state police was also on the phone call. What happened on that call? Oh, hold on a minute. The four brothers and the sheath profile share a great-great-grandparent. They do not identify if it is male or female. And also, they state that it is from the great-great-grand line. Okay. So that person that the four brothers and the sheath profile have in common could be a sibling or in the grand line. Since they say that it is on the wrong branch, okay. But it still has to be related to the Kobergers somewhere, right? Let me make sure that I understand that part of it. Stop saying that, Lucy. I'm assuming that means that one set comes from a female, the other set comes from a male, and the female and male being siblings, okay? You do know shit. Couldn't the four brothers be among like 20 to 40,000 people descended from that common ancestor? That's my thought. And there are people that are ancestrally related that don't even know it. Okay. I still don't get this shit. But
That's a big rabbit hole.
I mean, it is. What happened on that phone call? In that phone call, we were asked to turn over any kind of investigative records that we had, any kind of information that we had to the FBI team. They provided me with an email address to be able to provide what they had requesting from us, which was, to my memory, it was to the login information essentially, and it might have been other things. I'm not aware of like packets and things. I'm not aware of the technical terms, but basically they were asking us to provide that information to the FBI investigator. Did you do that? Yes. The four brothers in the sheath profile share DNA that is in the great grand line. I understand. It only shares DNA. It's not the okay.
Yeah.
Did you do that? Yes. And do you know
Stop it.
what you provided to the FBI investigator? So what we asked for to be provided were 2 database searches for information so that those could be independently searched. And we also asked them to cooperate and provide any information that they needed to be able to further investigate. When you say two databases, do you mean the two genetic genealogy databases that allow law enforcement to search? Yes, to my knowledge, these samples were searched in two genealogical databases that allow searching by law enforcement. So GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA, I believe, were the two that were searched. And we were asked to provide those credentials, that information to the FBI. Do you know that GEDmatch has two different databases, GEDmatch and GEDmatch Pro? Yes. Is it because one of those allows law enforcement and the other one doesn't? I believe that's correct. Okay, ISP Forensics Lab's direction to Othram was to look into the database. To only look in the databases that allow law enforcement search. Is that right? Our direction to them was to follow the interim policy per contract with them, and any other communication we would have had with them would be to follow the interim policy. Does that mean, yes, that you expected them to search the allowed databases? I believe that is what we would have been communicating. That's our understanding of what the interim policy means, is that they would search those databases that are allowable to be searched by us as a law enforcement entity. After Othram turns over whatever they turn over to the FBI and you get the report and they get paid, is that the end of it with Othram for this case? So they provided to us a report after we had asked them to turn over all of the information to the investigating agency and to the FBI. They provided us with what was identified as a preliminary report. I believe they titled it that because it was not a final report. And the testing that we had asked them to terminate the testing. But they were not at a final result of a name to provide to us, an investigative lead to provide to us. So why was the decision made for the FBI to take this over and not let Othram finish? I don't know. I can't speak to that. In that meeting, there was nothing stated about why we were going to do this. I don't recall specific reasons, but they had asked us to transfer everything to the FBI. Okay, did you take a look at the two profiles, the FBI's SNP profile and Othram's SNP profile? Have you ever looked at those? Did we look at those or did I look at those? Did you? I did not know. Have you seen them? No. Would it surprise you to know the FBI profile was over twice as big as Othram's? Again, I have no knowledge of that. The FBI did, of what the FBI did or didn't do. I had no knowledge, or, yeah. How involved were you in the FBI's process of their genetic genealogy? I was not involved other than to provide the samples to where they asked us to send those samples to. And then from that point, I was not involved in the process. Have you become aware that they search databases that are not allowed to be searched by law enforcement? Pure speculation is all I know, but I have no firsthand knowledge of anything. Of course you don't. Okay, fair enough, and thanks for that. Your Honor, if I can have just a moment, I have a couple questions for you about some documentation. Sure. The document that gave recommendations for you to call some of the four brothers, where is that? So I believe that was provided to us telephonically, and I don't think that there was an official report. Surprise. I don't think that there was an email. I think it was names provided telephonically. And then those names were actually provided as part of the report that came several days after the conclusion of the testing. Surprise again. Okay, so you recognize those names from that report? Yes. Those had been provided to us before. So the work that you were doing before, trying to call one of the brothers, where did you keep your documents for that? As far as the records, That I'm sorry, I'm confused on the question. Now, you're getting nervous. Let me ask it better. Did you did some research work before you and Detective Gooch made the phone call to one of the brothers and kind of built out a family tree and did some other research? Where did you keep that? Those were paper copies, and those were just retained and then sent to Othram as part of the communicating back to them. Basically, this is the work that we did, and we're providing these back to you in case they're helpful as you continue to build out the family trees. Do you still have a copy of those? Yes. Did you document your attempt to get a voluntary sample from one of the brothers? I do not believe so. Do you know if Detective Gooch wrote a police report about that? I do not know. Did she provide any of her notes to you, her investigative notes? Not to me, and I don't know if she kept notes. Once again, somebody else that did not record nor take any notes on something. Surprise. Okay, did you watch or write anything down? I did not, and we were telephonic, I believe, at that point. Jesus Christ. It would be hard to see them, smartass. Have you seen any documentation from that December 10th meeting? Not to my knowledge. Okay, any documentation that's come from your way from the FBI's work? Not to my knowledge. Have you turned over your work with the genetic genealogy, the help that you were giving Othram? Have you turned that over to the prosecutor? I have not turned over physical copies of anything, and I believe that our agency complied with the discovery request. I don't know exactly what was provided as part of that discovery request. Certainly, it is in an email document from me to Othram Laboratories, and as such, I would assume that would have gone as part of the discovery request. Are you talking about the discovery request that the defense made? I'm not exactly sure. We were just asked to comply. We know that at any point our emails are discoverable, and I believe the way that ISP handles discovery requests, large discovery requests especially, is to do a email pool of anything that might be related to this case. So I think that the area that I'm concerned about, and I do have a lot of emails, so thank you for that. The procedure and
Would
protocols
you
from
please?
that you know about what you've read, where are they? This is ridiculous. It's like talking to a fifth grader. I feel like a halfway decent judge who was driven to get to the truth would have stopped this long ago. You think so, dude? This is nuts. Like they're going back and forth playing cat and mouse here. Yeah, this is like a SNL skit. I agree. I mean, were these people? Were they threatened that you don't turn over any information, and no matter what's said, they ask you what you know, you don't tell them anything? That's what it sounds like. You know what I mean? Um, this is insane, you guys. I
How
mean,
many times?
they're asking him
How many
15
times?
different ways. What'd you say,
It's
bud?
like Ann Taylor just progging him, poking him, trying to get him to say something.
They won't
But
say a
she
word.
knows that he's
I told you guys, and I say this all the time, that Anne will not ask a question that I don't think she already knows the answer to, and that's why she's asking like this. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's like she's on him, but he's
Well, the judge has not interrupted once here with this. You see that, right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, if a
Just let
judge,
him go.
Docket's right. If a judge really wanted to get to the truth, he would have stopped this and said, "Look, where the hell's the communication at? Say something here."
But there's a reason why.
It's obvious.
But there is a reason why that I have been on the Hitler hate train. And I have been on the Dylan hate train. Because these two people have gone out their way to control a narrative that is false.
Yeah, well, they're doing a good
It's
job
all
of it.
false.
Right. And yes, Meanie, I agree with that too. Hitler isn't 100%. Absolutely, Midnight. Absolutely. This is a joke, folks. This is such a joke. Okay, so let's see now where we're at after she's asked 15 different ways. And I do have a lot of emails, so thank you for that. The procedures and protocols from Othram that you know about, that you've read, where are they? So those protocols would have been back in 21, I believe. From, are you kidding me? So they changed from when we initially did the RFP. I believe it's the RFP process, and I'm not completely familiar with it. Of course, you're not. It might be an intent to bid, and I'm not sure what to call the process. Regardless, when that process was going through, they would have provided those documents to us at that point. And I believe those documents likely exist. And where the hell are they? Excuse me. Okay. Any of the work that Othram did is getting from DNA sample all the way down to SNP profile. Where are they? The answer to this one: where is the documentation of that? I do not have that documentation. That was not provided to us, to my knowledge, and I don't know everything that was provided back to the laboratory potentially. But my knowledge, to my knowledge, we were not provided with any of that information. Of course you weren't. This is insane. Believe it or not, there are really good judges out there, and we never hear about them because we have to cover these clowns. Amen to that one, brother. They absolutely know what happened. Of course they do, Lucy. This is insane. They absolutely know what happened here, and they likely discussed at dinner, in my opinion. Hitler chose to pretend like this shit is legit when, in fact, it is not. 100%. This is a joke, you guys. A big-time joke. Oh, yeah. That's all we've had, dude. Hitler, Gall, Aunt Bev, all of them. The Benedict Arnold. Yeah, right. That's great.
I want to back up my comment that I made. If you had watched the Daybell trial, did you watch any of it?
No, I didn't have time to watch that one, unfortunately.
Well, the judge that presided over that was a damn good judge.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no doubt in my mind if he was in on this,
yeah,
he wouldn't play this.
Yeah, no, this is so bad, you guys. This is so bad. Would Othram have that? Potentially, I don't know. They're playing word games with these people. This is sick. The work that they did to come up with a name to give to you for further investigation, where are those documents? I don't know. And your documents, some went to Othram, but you still have a copy of those. I do. So, and since I think that's it. Thank you very much. That's all from me for now. No questions, Your Honor. Of course you don't have questions. And then Hitler says, thank you, you can step down. He doesn't speak to that at all. There's your problem, folks, right there. The judge should have spoke at that immediately. During that, he should have spoke up, and he didn't say a word. You can step down, you're good. That was great. Thank you, Judge.
And this is the part of the reason why I believe right at the end, she lost it with it.
Of course she did. Look at this right here.
She completely lost it.
This was
she told him. She told Hitler. She said, "My job is not to investigate this case. My job is to defend my client to the best of my ability and let the prosecution make their case." But
right.
I had to put extra resources into this because the prosecution is not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. Lucy just said, I still don't understand why non-experts are talking about things outside of their expertise or speaking on topics that call for an expert opinion. Thank you. Good question, Lucy.
This is pure speculation on my part, but I've always felt like the FBI thing, they didn't really want to have nothing to do with this at all. I firmly believe that.
You guys, if this right here, what we just went through, doesn't tell you that this is so fucking corrupt, I don't know what does, okay? To look at the way that process just went down and the judge just sat there twiddling his thumbs going, and didn't speak up once. Hell, I think even Triple J would have said something, but no, nobody said a word here. They just let this float right on back, right on by.
Yeah, just let her have her time.
And then Ann calls the next one is Daniel Hellwig. The clerk says, "Do you solemnly?" You know how they do all that shit. Will you please state your full name, Daniel? We know who this is. What do you do? I'm currently the forensic director at Intermountain Forensics. We are a 501c nonprofit. Excuse me. These people should have never been talked to then. If these people don't have the answers to this situation, why were they the ones that were being spoken to? They're not the experts.
And I'm serious, Dago. If this is not grounds for an appeal, I don't know what is.
It all is, in my opinion. That is absolute. Well, the fact that he didn't step in and stop that's I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. That's judicial misconduct. He didn't do his job. Period. He allowed bullshit to float right by like it's nothing, but he's calling out other shit that makes no sense. So nothing is saying, okay, so is it one limb leads to the four brothers, the other limb leads to Koberger, their cousins several times removed, not siblings or first cousins? I don't. That's Lucy's direction there. Nothing. I don't quite still understand it. It's something to do with the great grand line is where it connects to Koberger there somewhere. It's so hard. That's much more on the right track. So one limb leads to the four brothers, the other limb leads to Brian, and that they're cousins several times removed by marriage, obviously, not siblings or first cousins. So then it could be, it's almost basically a stranger to the family then. Inside your mind is a Charlie Brown thought. I feel dumb as shit right now, Lucy. This is crazy. And I'm not dumb, but I just cannot process this. Like I feel like my head's gonna explode. Not to mention what just happened here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really not this stupid, but I certainly feel like I am right now. So this guy works for Intermountain Forensics. They're a 501c nonprofit, and our main mission is pushing forward new and cutting-edge DNA technologies, assisting different agencies, law enforcement, otherwise, with education, training, and consultation on those. Our main focus right now is to help fund these cases. Specifically, most of our mission is revolved around forensic investigative genetic genealogy, or FIG. So when you say help fund these cases as a nonprofit, who do you mean? A variety of different. We actually allow people to submit cases that they have been having problems getting the revenue and resources to move it forward. And when we evaluate it, so this could be that we've worked and tried to assist in. Mainly, I think most of our work is in smaller agencies that don't have nearly as much resources to further their casework with this technology, but we've done work with law enforcement, the medical examiners' offices, and defense, especially the Innocence Project. That's you need to step in. What did you do before you worked at this nonprofit? So the more in common, the closer the relation. Okay. I've been in forensic DNA for 20 plus years. I have a bachelor's in biology and chemistry from Idaho University and a master's in forensic science from Marshall. I started my career at the Army. I don't want to know all that. Just let me get down here. Hold on a minute. So our goal is this. We had a fully functioning laboratory in that we did what I'll call traditional forensics STRs, as mentioned previously, but we also wanted to implement this new technology, forensic investigative genetic genealogy, and laboratory processes behind it. Specifically, what did I just do? In this case, you're talking about forensic SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms. And the court reporter says, I'm sorry. Single nucleotide polymorphisms. And then here comes Hitler. So you need to slow down a little bit. You don't and you enunciate particularly well. So you need to go slower. Wow, even rude to the witnesses. I promise. And says, let me see if I can understand your work right before the 501c, getting into the forensic investigative genetic genealogy world. Do I understand that your work was to do the part, all the long steps until you get to the SNP, and then it would be handed off for a genealogist to do the other part of the work? Welcome, Mary Hood. Beyond just identifying SNPs, it is to generate an upload file, an end product that would then be handed off to an investigative genetic genealogist to continue that research. So essentially, our laboratory had the ability to start from sample from evidentiary item, do DNA extraction, which is essentially popping cells open, pulling DNA out and washing all the residual material away, and then traditional forensics, where you're doing short tandem repeats, repetitive DNA that repeats over and over, and you simply count them to our specific targets, which was SNP, where we did DNA sequencing, looking at all the different letters within the genome and pulling out the relevant single nucleotide polymorphisms that were specifically associated through genealogy, generating through a pretty extensive process. What I'll call an upload file. These are files that contain all the SNP single nucleotide polymorphisms that contain the information that is needed for upload into these databases. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit with you. So in the traditional STR, we've heard that some about that today. You said splitting the DNA open and washing it. Yes, that's essentially the very simplified version of DNA extraction. You can think of this biological material, these cells, as little tiny water-filled balloons with nuclear material, with DNA inside of it. DNA extraction, similar to previous testimony, is just popping those cells open, pulling the DNA out, and washing all the cellular garbage, if you will, out to generate an extract. It can then go down several different pathways depending on what you need. Traditional forensic testing, STRs, short tandem repeats, is taking that DNA and looking at repetitive sequences and counting how many repeats there are. The best way I can explain this is if you had the word cat, and that was the specific DNA letters that you were looking at, you could repeat that word cat 8 times, and that would be a short tandem repeat. Cat repeated 8 times. I would call that an 8. You have DNA from mom and dad, so you have 2 copies of this. So you have an 8 and maybe another 8 from mom and dad. The problem there is that you're not actually looking at the specific letters. So a 3-letter word like dog would be completely different. We've got an 8 repeat STR and an 8 repeat STR that have different sequences, but still have the same short tandem repeat number. SNP's single nucleotide polymorphisms is actually looking at the DNA sequence. So if we were to look at an SNP, let's say we were particularly interested in the A in the cat, we would sequence that DNA and then go into that sequence and say at this location that we have an A. And we have an A from mom and maybe an A from dad. That is the generation of the SNP profile. Same concept, but we're dialing down to the specific letter in question. Have you done both kinds of work? Yes, in my before IMF, I worked at several different laboratories, all using traditional forensics, STRs, and YSTRs. In my work at Intermountain Forensics, we did that, but we also focused on forensics SNP testing. If I understood the part about the water balloon right, it's one water balloon, same process of popping it open, stripping out the stuff that you don't need, and then it's where you go from there that makes the difference between an STR and SNP ultimately. Correct. That's all. So hold on. That's great, Doc, and I love it. That's great. So the process of getting that DNA water balloon open so that you can strip things off, doesn't matter how you do that. Well, there's a variety of different ways to do it, but in forensics, there's some specific and kind of common tools that we use that the process to get where they can vary somewhat. However, it's fairly standard practice to use some of the same DNA tools. Same tools within the forensic DNA community. I think I understand the repeats as looking for patterns, but the SNP is looking at the individual characteristics. Individual letter nucleotides. So if DNA is made up of billions and billions of letters, STR is looking at repetitive sequences and counting the repeats, and SNPs is looking at specific letters, specific nucleotides on that genome. All right. I want to talk about the whole process. How you get from the SNP to splitting the water balloon open. I'm with you there. So what do we do after we get that stripped off? If we're going down the path of forensic SNPs, there's a few different ways that you can do that. There's one way that is essentially a targeted practice. We're looking at SNPs in question, and we're going to focus on those. What the hell just happened? Sorry. And do what is called an amplification PCR, basically a DNA photocopier of that sequence, that specific letter, and a little bit around it to specifically target an SNP in question. The other technique is something more attuned to whole genome sequencing. Again, there's a variety of different ways you can do this, but the idea here is that we're going to sequence the entire genome, the entire length of DNA on this particular extract, and then we are going to pull out the SNPs that we need, the relevant ones that we're looking for. This can be done. I will refer to that as whole genome sequencing and acknowledging the fact that there's a variety of different ways you can accomplish that. This is nuts. Once you sequence the DNA, you know what, you guys, hold on. That doesn't make sense. So, created a raw data file called a FASTQ file, and now we need to do bioinformatics to get an SNP. This is insane. One minute. Hang on. All right, we already passed all that. What's up, Twiz? Sorry, you guys. Hold on. Jesus. Okay. Okay, what happens from there? So in the bioinformatic pathway, you're doing multiple things. Sorry, you guys. Again, you can think of this as a DNA sequence that the sequencer has given you a truckload of information that they're essentially puzzle pieces. The first thing we are going to do is re-emerging. So we are going to take all the puzzle pieces that are the same, and we're going to use them to paint the best picture of that information. You can think of this as we're sequencing this DNA, this human genome multiple times, hopefully 10, 15, 30 times. Our samples in forensics are typically difficult, so we don't tend to get that level of, essentially. We're trying to sequence this entire genome multiple times to add more context in that we're getting in merging. We're taking the DNA sequences that we have multiple copies of, and we're combining them into one and the best fit for the particular fragment of DNA. While we still have puzzle pieces to put together, the next thing is mapping. The bioinformatic pathway will map all of these puzzle pieces and put them into the human genome in the way that they're supposed to be. That takes multiple fragments and lines them up in the right manner. And once it's mapped, we are going to start to be able to find the particular SNPs that we're looking for. We have a human genome with a whole bunch of different letters in different positions that we can say, all right, these are the relevant SNPs that we're looking for in genealogy-based informative markers. We want to pull these SNPs out and see what the call is here and send them to an upload file. In some cases, we don't have all of the information. We're missing some sequence data, and we've maybe gotten 80% of the genome, and some of the SNPs are missing. There's a process to fill in those gaps called imputation. Imputation is in most bioinformatic packages. Essentially, we know that, what the letters are in front of this particular spot. We're missing, and we know what the letters are behind what this particular spot that is missing. So we can look at all the human genomes and estimate the most likely letter in the position that we're looking for once we're through imputation. And all else calls, we're going to use the bioinformatic package to pull out SNPs, and we're looking for and put them into a format that will be usable for upload into these databases. 1 second, folks. To pull out SNPs, and we're looking for and put them into format that will be usable for upload into these databases. At IMF, we actually generated 2 files, one specifically to GEDmatch Pro database and one specific to the family tree FTDNA database. In these files, GEDmatch Pro, we typically got around 550,000 plus SNPs that we were looking for. In the family tree DNA database, upwards of 6 to 650,000 SNPs. The end product there, though, is a text file or some sort of upload file, which could be in text format or Excel format. But essentially, what it is a file with all these SNPs, the calls at SNP locations in the format that allows them to be uploaded into the database. Now, at this point, we hand it off to an investigative genetic genealogist to do the research. Let me see. Thank you, Meanie. It's a good point. So the upload databases that you mentioned to GEDmatch Pro and Family Tree DNA, that's correct. Why did you mention those? Well, those are the 2 databases that allow law enforcement searches. They have specific terms of service that give a portion of that database. Those that have consented to do so to law enforcement to search in for human remains in some cases and in criminal cases. So in this lab process, to get to the SNP, to get to the upload file, it sounds like there's a lot of steps along the way. It's a pretty complicated process, yes. Is it important to keep lab notes or bench notes or have procedure protocols? Well, yes. And I think that is pretty standard practice amongst forensic DNA testing laboratories in general. You're going to adhere to quality management system. You're going to have procedures, protocols, and policies and tell you what to do, tell you how to do it, and tell you what samples to use and what personnel can be and can do the analysis and technical review and so on and so forth. It's a whole quality structure that gives support and credence to reliable results. And that would include protocols, SOPs. It would include case documentation, laboratory notes about what you did, how you did it, chain of custody documents, electronic records as needed, and hopefully at the end of it, a report that includes conclusions and information about what was done. Why do you want to do all that? Well, first of all, within the forensic DNA community, it's a part of our accreditation process and some of the standards that we adhere to as a community. Second, it's just best practice. The holding of the records, using them, creating them, and retaining them. Listen to that, folks. How interesting is that? You never know if you're going to need to refer back to them in your own notes, or we mandate technical review of all of this data. So a second quality analyst will look over all of your laboratory notes, all the work you did and your reports, and make sure that they agree with it and would come out to the same conclusions and for discovery requests. At IMF, we have typical documentation that we would send to our clients that would include report and all the case notes and laboratory documentation associated with it. Outside of that, we oftentimes get requests for more than that information. So what is our validations? What is our quality manual competency test for our personnel and their training and education? A whole list of support documents that are within our quality management system that also are important to in accreditation of our laboratory. I'm with you on that one, nothing. Even previous to becoming a 501c since the inception of the company in 2019, even before we no longer did laboratory operations, we got accredited by ANAB ISO 17025. That was on our accreditation scope, included traditional forensics STRs, YSTRs, and eventually we included within our scope forensic SNPs, massively parallel sequencing that encompasses accreditation for this whole genome sequencing in support of forensic investigative genetic genealogy that we did. Is there a set of guidelines or rules that apply to work with DNA to split that DNA water balloon open? Yes, and I think you've heard testimony to that. There's accreditation standards. ISO 17025 is the big one, as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigation Quality Assurance Standards for forensic DNA testing laboratories. There are common, and I would say more so almost required within the forensic DNA community. And those are standards that dictate our quality management system as a whole, what we do, how we do it, and how we support it, how we document, and how we report it. Is that important? So there's public trust in what you do. More so, public trust for sure, but reliability and reproducibility of results. Transparency and just ensuring a full quality behind your conclusions and reports. Mr. Helwig, you mentioned the size of the two SNP profilers for GEDmatch Pro and Family Tree DNA 55 or 650,000 seem to be the maximums. If you had a case where you had to produce a file to upload an upload file and it had, let's say, 600,000 in it, could you take that text file and turn it into twice that big? I'm not sure how we would do that, no. So an important note here, that was just IMF's policy. We generated upload files specific to each one of the databases, and that's the number to each of the databases, and that's the number that we had within our bioinformatic package. That's not necessarily what would be true of others. That being said, theoretically, we were to deliver our upload file to our client and say had 500,000 SMPs on it, and I don't know of the mechanism to add SMPs in that manner without going back to our raw data. In this particular case, I know that you haven't gotten involved in all of the ins and outs. But did we provide to you what we received in regular discovery, the Othram file and the FBI file uploaded files? Answer says yes, and I did receive 2 upload files. One was a text file that came from Othram, and one was an Excel file that came from the FBI. Is that also an upload file? Yep, both of them are upload files. They contain exactly that, a listing of SMPs, the call, and their location in a format that would follow them to be uploaded to databases. What was the difference in size? Well, the FBI upload file has significantly more SMPs called than the Othram file. I wasn't able to go deep into it, and I don't know exactly how many more, but there was more SMPs called within the upload file for the FBI, and there was with the Othram file. And since Othram is smaller, it's a text file. Can you tell how the FBI got so much more data and so many more SMPs? Answer was no, and that's kind of the important part here. There's no documentation to say how this happened. Bing bong. And that's really the important part, right? I have no reason to believe that Othram Laboratories did anything wrong to obtain their profile, and I just don't have the documentation to show me how that came to be. Same with the FBI file.
They go, I wonder why she never got an FBI agent to come up and say anything about what the FBI did. Notice all her questions is about what FBI did.
She was supposed to, welcome Jana. She was supposed to get in on, oh Jesus, what's his name? Balance. If I remember correctly, she was going to probably impeach Balance, okay, on the bench, from my understanding. And I don't think it ever got to that point. Yeah, because the FBI SNP profile included the medical information that DTC DNA databases that allow for LE to access without warrant do not include. Interesting. Yeah, she was going to be questioning Balance, but it never got that far. So
I can't help but to think they go, none. This is just my feeling that how from the FBI point of view, they just put their arms out, kind of like get away.
Because they can do whatever
I
they
want
want.
you to. I don't want you no closer than where my arms are at, right?
Right.
Because there's something about it, in my opinion, that's forcing the FBI not to really, get involved, but not really get involved. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like, yeah. I don't want to go there. We're not going there.
Right. And like Doc had said, yeah, that was true. She definitely wanted to question him, but it had to be outside the presence of the jury, if you remember that hearing. And once again, if he did give her anything, it was like that. You know what I mean? It was never right on, going forward. It was always some kind of bullshit. There it is again. So he didn't even want the jury to hear that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was so fucking crooked, you guys. It's disgusting.
I hate to keep bringing it back up, but the Syray deal, that was big. Hitler even said it himself. That implicated some people to lose their jobs.
Well, I'm sure
that could have been the case right there and there, thrown out.
Oh, I think the prosecution would have been called to the floor on that one for sure. The state knew what they were doing by early December, and the state stopping ISP Othram and handing it over to the FBI. Othram was intentional, and absolutely it was at this point. I see that. And 1005 to hide under the federal skirt. Bingo. And that'll tell you right there to go to those depths to do what they're doing right there with that. There's something big that I'm starting to wonder. Truly, folks, and this is just an opinion, okay? You know, we've talked about before that there was another investigation going on involving the FBI and the DEA, right? Before the murders happened. Now, it is, Lucy, and that's kind of where my brain just went to, okay? I'm starting to wonder now if with one of those investigations, if something went wrong in that investigation. I mean, I've been wondering this before, and I think I mentioned it before, but I gotta wonder if something within those investigations got screwed up really bad, and because of it, the murders happened. And the FBI, this is what they're covering, is what the FBI's mistake was possibly here. Not here, but with, you know what I'm saying? Hemisphere, like
I do, and Doc, I read the comment about Sire. That was huge because any judge that I would think
right,
would come across that and have the prosecutors and Taylor, all of them in his office,
right,
in his chambers.
Yeah, I think something went wrong. Like, okay, let me give a for instance or an example. Okay, I'm not saying this is what happened, and I'm not saying that this is what it was. I'm trying to give an idea as to what I'm trying to say here. So, what if they were running another investigation? Let's say we all, I'm pretty sure, believe that this was rug related. Okay, obviously with what was going on, and we had two other agencies involved in other investigations before this went down. So, per se, if there was a sting operation that was to be in effect, per se, they were going to try to catch somebody doing something, let's say, okay, or something like that, and it went way, way wrong. These kids ended up dead. They weren't supposed to, okay? And now, if it were to be found out, it would come back to a specific agency. That agency has to cover that shit, like right now. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, there's a reason why some of the theories is going back to that, what do you call it, the Arthur Knights or whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
There was a big bust in Idaho right about the same time all this was going on with Idaho Court at the same time. So
right. None of that happened. No. Okay, but let me say this real quick. Okay. Law enforcement agencies are law enforcement agencies. Protect and serve, uphold the law, all that fun stuff, right? And I'm talking about all of them. But I do, just like Docket, I love the CIA. I think they're amazing, and they're here for us, and we love them. I'll leave that one alone. Up to them. Everybody else, though, let's say, they may be against, like, hardcore 1%er biker gangs or Aryans or whatever the hell, these criminal organizations, let's say. But they do work with these groups, too, to get the things done that they need to get done. You see where I'm going with this? Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They do work with these groups as well, behind the scenes, not on the surface. They work to shut them down, but they also work with them to get things done that they need to get done, if that makes any sense. And if something went haywire, that wasn't supposed to happen, they can't allow it to come out that was what was going on, that they were working with this group to get something handled or dealt with, because it was going to make them look horrible. Okay, it's a government installation. So, and this goes above just informants, folks. Yeah, Dustin. In a sense, yeah, 100%. Okay. What if, okay, that would be a level so large to cover up that it would make this come into proportion, if that makes any sense to you. You think that LA did not view AT&T records on the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, like they really waited nearly 5 days to put? No, bullshit. Come on. So that's what I'm saying is like, I hope what I'm saying makes sense. I'm trying to explain this as it's rolling out, and I don't know if it's coming out right or not.
One more time, Dago. I'm listening to you. Go with it.
Okay. So sometimes these agencies, they work to take down specific entities, okay? Crime, or like organized crime organizations per se. They're obviously, we know that law enforcement tries to take them down, but in the background, sometimes they work with those same organized crime organizations to get things done that they need to do. Do you know what I'm saying
Like
at that point now?
informants. Like informants.
Or more, okay? Higher levels in that sense. So if say, for instance, that was what was going on, that can't be out on the surface. They can't be put out to the world that way, okay? So in turn, if something had gone wrong within something they were doing, like I said, I'm just trying to give an example so it's understood, like a sting or some kind of a special operation they were running,
Mm-hmm.
a psyop version of
Right.
something possibly. If it went wrong and this is what happened from it, that can't come out to the world, okay? At all. It just can't. So they have to put a blanket over that, okay? In turn, here we are. And I'm just saying this is a bit of a reach, but kind of not really reading through all this shit. When you have places that are saying, well, this information didn't go here, that didn't go there, we don't have this, they don't have that, I don't know where this is, I don't know where that is. What the fuck do you mean you don't know where it is? It just disappeared? Why? Why would that specific information disappear? Because it takes you back to this specific entity. Hey, Jason.
Hi.
It's just a thought. This is just a thought. And this is something that other creators like Pav and Truth and Conspiracy and all that touch on is the parents. Some of the parents, like Xana's parent and let's see, Maddie's, all of them was into that good old boy where we was just talking about they had ties to
They got in trouble recently, and they were probably being
and Bill Thompson kept them pretty much out of jail or whatever the case may be.
right.
You have that element going. Something that involves in that got to blow it up so big that these 4 kids paid the price for it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my question is how did they get to the kids?
The kids are in the middle.
But probably through.
They're in the middle, though. Understand that they're in the middle and they're the bullseye. Let me say it that way. They were in the middle of the bullseye. Everything else was around them. If you envision like a dartboard, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the kids in the house were the center. It's very well known that house was very popular. for specific reasons. Taking that into account, you have, again, the other investigations going on campus right now. Dave said that there were 50 plus agents that were scattered all over campus and in with students and stuff. There was something going on they were trying to break down.
And that's the reason why Aaron Knights keeps coming up, because they have.
Okay, so keep that in mind.
They had that in Arizona, which Idaho, University of Idaho, just bought the University of Arizona.
No. They were trying. He was trying to buy the
Phoenix
university,
Online.
and it didn't go through. Okay, because of the book that he wrote, and it caused all sorts of backlash. But they didn't want to deal with him at that point. So, but that was something that was going on. Inside Ray's reality, he knows that 7 days is a facade and is meaningless. He's usually playing for the other team, so he knows what's behind curtain. Bingo. So
I've been waiting on his statement, but that's probably, I don't know.
That's it right there. Okay, like there was something that was going on, and
I have a question, Dago. Was the college possibly part of a target? Like, did they just have to target the college in some way?
no, I don't think so at all. I think it was directly where it was at. It was directed. Listen, what I think now at this point possibly is that an accident happened. And this is just a very weak possibility, okay?
Like, what do you mean an accident happened?
Okay. Something went down that was not supposed to go down in the midst of part of an investigation. Again, there were 2 other investigations going on campus. DEA and FBI involved in both. That says what it is, just based on the 6 letters I just said, okay? So if we know that the FBI, the DEA, they run special operations when they do these things. And like I said, sometimes they work with the people they're trying to take down other entities, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it became more than where it was supposed to be, if it went to a level that it wasn't supposed to get to, and the accident, as I called it, ended up being that these kids lost their lives. Wasn't supposed to happen that way. And it would all point back to a specific entity that cannot be put out there that way.
Right.
It cannot come out that they were involved in a situation like this. Okay? They're going to cover that up.
You think that the kids knew whoever one of the kids or a couple of the kids may have known something they shouldn't have known?
I mean, maybe. But I think it's a little more than. Hold on. Ellie was outside the home. Ellie was circling Queen Apartments. If it is not Ellie that did it, they were 100% there because they knew of the threat. It's one of those 2 things. Yes, Lucy, 100% yes. And like I said, maybe they were there because of it. The thing is if they were there because they knew of the threat, they failed miserably. Okay.
Badly.
But
because
also,
Tisdale says, I go back to that. Tisdale said, this is on Banfield, when they made the patrols, he said, I saw several people in front of the residence. Several.
Right. But he wasn't paying them no attention because they weren't carrying whatever.
I didn't think nothing of it because I was looking for open containers. If somebody's prowling in front of a house like that, wouldn't that be suspicious enough just to, hey, check them out?
Yeah, only if they're supposed to, though. Okay? That's another part of that, though. We don't know Remember when I said that there's a lot of pawns in this, you guys?
Mm-hmm.
I said that more than once. And what I mean by pawns is that there's people in that what I think were involved that are just doing their job. They're told, go do this. This is your job for today or every day, whatever. Just go do your job. You go patrol this area, okay? People don't ask why. Just they give you an excuse. Okay, we're running this special thing this weekend. We're checking for underage drinking. I don't know how often they do that, but still, this is what you're doing this weekend. It's pretty bad over here, we heard. So go patrol this area in specific, okay? Somebody either knew that the threat was there and that's why they set that up, or somebody knew that there was something going to happen on the other side of that situation, possibly. Okay. I know I'm sounding confusing. I'm coming to a conclusion in my head of the level that this goes up to. Okay. Reading through this thing really has shown me what a joke this was. How ridiculous this is, that there's certain protocols within this that were completely
Botched.
just completely, well, not even botched, purposely destroyed.
Avoided. Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't seem to get my head wrapped around the thought that if they was 100% sure that there was something going on to that big of a magnitude, that precautions would be made to say, hey, when you're on your patrol tonight, keep your eye out, and at least stop the people and talk to them while they're hanging out in front of the residence. This blows me away. Absolutely blows me away. You see what I'm saying? And then you got your head investigator sitting up there trying to justify it. No.
Well, right.
No.
Lucy says, remember when Logsdon wrote in June of 23, and Ann stated in the hearing, law enforcement used footage of a car going the wrong way at the wrong time to ID the Elantra. And she's talking about the Ridge Road footage, right? And that was of law enforcement's own car. They absolutely knew it was their own car, but they put it in there anyway to make it look like they had the right guy. Yes. So this is 100%. They know everything at this point, okay? They made this work this way for on purpose.
For a reason.
Okay? They had to put somebody in here to draw the attention away from the real source of what happened.
Yep.
In turn, they picked this kid. Don't ask me how or why they got to him, but they picked this kid. And okay, one other thing, and depending on the level that this goes to, FBI, whatever, who's involved in that part of it, okay? If Brian owned a knife, how hard would it be to get that knife in their possession to do what they have to do? They go into people's homes all the time and do whatever the hell they want to do, however they want to do it. That's all I'm saying with that.
Right.
We know that that was not Brian's car. We know that Brian was not there. We know that Brian was probably not even in Moscow that night, okay? But they had to make him be.
Yep.
And to the whole world, except for a few of us, they did make him be. Hence the reason why he's sitting in prison right now. The problem is proving this, or whatever it is. It's damn near impossible. Unless there's somebody that screws up where they want you to see it, nobody's going to see it. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, that's where I'm at this point with this, folks. I absolutely, by every means in my mind, have no doubt that Brian is 100% to 150% innocent of this crime. Period. And it had absolutely nothing to do with this. And if you get threatened by the right people, you're going to do what they tell you to do. Or if
And to
your
save
family,
your life,
and your family,
to save your family's life.
thank you.
Yep. Are you going to watch the episode tomorrow? You're damn straight I'm going to. Because
Yep,
I
I
want to
am.
know. I mean, I know it's mainstream media or whatever, but I still want a thing that puts the whole thing together. You
I
know what I
think we
mean?
already know what it's going to say to an extent, but
I don't think we're going to learn much that we don't already know.
no, but we might as well to put the icing on the cake. I'm done
Yeah.
reading this, you guys. I got enough out of that to tell me everything I need to know. That is absolutely insane what I just went through there. And if you don't see it or hear it, hold on. Hold the fort for me, you two. I'll be right.
Is it a new document?
Yeah, it was a hearing they had. It was closed.
Oh.
There was
Go
was a
ahead.
few things that was eye opening, like the three male DNAs they couldn't that didn't tie into Brian Koberger, but they went through the family tree, and that was kind of confusing. But so far, everything that's coming out of these docs is pointing away from Brian Koberger, but
Oh,
yet they keep
absolutely.
pushing that narrative, and knowing this, and I keep hearing this over and over and over, and it's true. It's kind of
I have
we didn't
something.
get what we wanted, but what we got was a plea deal that I think everybody was caught off guard. At least I know I was, and I was upset. I'm like, what the hell? And now I understand why he took the plea deal.
Yeah.
I do.
I mean, from the
Oh,
beginning, like I said, like I think that he thought he was cooked either way.
well,
And
that's what I was getting ready to go to. And here's what I feel, and I hate to say this out loud, but if what I have in my head at this point is true, but if that's what it is, if I am believing what I think this could be, I don't think there's a way out for Brian.
I don't think there was, Dago.
And I'm saying at this point now that no matter what comes to pass, I don't think there is a way out for Brian. Only because they're not going to let that happen. If they let that happen, then it would have to come out. The other side of this would have to come out, and that can't happen. Okay? Unless there's somebody that is brave enough
To spill.
to put it out there. Do you think there is? I don't.
Nope.
Or unless the defense is brave enough and has enough ability to find a way to prove it, which I just don't think there is. I mean,
I don't either.
somebody that would do this the way that this was done is like
Dago, I have a question.
I just don't understand why he was picked. Is all my biggest. Hold on, JC. I'm sorry. I just don't how. I want to know how and why they got to him to choose him. Is all I'm saying. Go ahead.
I think part of that is that he was an easy target.
To some extent, I
To
guess.
some extent.
Out of how many millions of people they picked one kid? That one specific.
Well, and he wasn't the. I mean, I'm just saying because he was a PhD criminology student, but there's several PhD criminology students, I'm assuming.
And like I said, the only way that I thought that they could maybe have gotten to him possibly is maybe he picked up on something.
Yeah.
and accidentally fell into something that he shouldn't
Yeah.
have. And then when he alerted to it, they were like, "No way, nope, you better shut that down now, and let's kill two birds with one stone." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do
That's the
you
only thing that makes sense to me.
do you think, Dago, if this was in any other state but Idaho, that it would be the way it is? Like, is
Yeah.
Idaho special or is Idaho special? You know what I mean?
I mean, Idaho's different in some aspects. We all know that, but I guess if it is really what I think that it could be, then it would happen anywhere per se. Okay. I think that some of the things that relate to Idaho kind of helped this play out the way it did for them in some senses.
Well, I can't really speak on that because we see what's going on with Kentucky. I mean, their whole judicial system
Yeah, but
is.
that's all out now, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that's out there now. The whole world is seeing it. Them people are ballsy as hell. Okay. And they know that they could be taken out at any time. They don't seem to care anymore. They're just done with it. And they're coming in hordes now. God bless them because
I,
you gotta be brave to do that.
on the whole, though, and I'm trying to put this out there and put that thought in the minds that everybody, everybody, no matter where you're at, where you're from, you need to look at your local office. Look at who you're voting in and start holding them people accountable. Uh, because this shouldn't be happening at all. Now, at that aspect, I can understand where Steve's coming from with that part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but to you can't have it both ways. I mean, I get it. You don't care about Brian Kohlberger,
Right.
but
But they're
if Brian Kohlberger was a symbol, it was a symbol of mine. And this could be
But
you.
don't you want true justice for your daughter?
This could be you. This could be me. This could be anybody. It just so happened we had that same car, and we're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Boom, we're just
there
like Brian Kohlberger.
there's not that many coincidences in any case. I'm sorry.
I mean,
What connection are you talking about, Dakota? You're plenty of smart, Dustin. Don't worry. This is too much, folks. It's not, and nobody in here is not smart enough to understand this. It's too much. Period. It's a lot. Okay. It's a lot, and we've been at this for going on 3 years, folks.
and we don't even know who actually did this. Who is that important to do this and cover it up?
Huh. I can name a few people. Oh, I see what you're saying, bud. The father funk thing. Okay. Lucy, put that link in the back chat for me too, in the Discord. I'm curious about that. Just slightly, please, so I can have something else to read to scramble my brains even more. Maybe I'll add a slice of bacon to it too. I'm just curious.
And where I'm coming from with that, though, Dago, is this is a small town that's run by a college.
Understand something too, though. This small town
So
is a hub, and it's so connected in ways that are very convenient. It's right there, bordering many other places, and
It's a border
Canada's right
town.
there. I mean, think about that. That's important, I think. So,
where okay, so in any part of the country, if it's LSU or if it's Wisconsin, any college town like that, would that president of that college, would he have personal meetings with the prosecutor or law enforcement?
No, that's what I said. This is never. I've been complaining about Scott Green for months, folks. Like, why the hell was he involved in
And
every aspect of this
everything.
investigation? That'd be like me or JC or you, Hemisphere. Like, well, okay, we're having a meeting today about the investigation, and I'm showing up. Well, who the fuck are you? You don't belong there. I'm here in the goodness or for the best interest of the university. And no, we'll tell you what you need to know. That's as far as that
So,
goes.
so when you got the president and you got the mayor and you got the prosecutors and law enforcement, all of them on the same page, then we're starting to see the house starting to go down. You're starting to see that the town itself is trying to move on from it, but everybody on the outside world is going, "What are you doing? Why are you tearing down the house? Where are you hiding?" You see what I'm saying? And that's the way
I think
everybody
that,
looking at it.
Dago, do you think that the house being torn down was the first step of it not going to trial?
That was
Ah,
probably a step of it. It's good call in my opinion. Sure, and they made sure that both sides would agree to it. That way that they could argue. Nobody needs it up. This doesn't matter what the parents or anybody else matters. What they care about. That this is what's in the trial, and that both sides can agree to it. It don't matter. They don't need it,
right.
and that goes for anything. Just like the plea deal, both sides agreed to everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's different, but you know what I mean.
I think we can all agree about that plea deal now. Is that was just something that
That was Bill Thompson being a
that was
absolute.
a means to an end, because you have to realize everything that transpired before that. Ann Taylor just couldn't get what she
No,
wanted.
I truly believe, and I'm questioning some other things now. I'm not going to get into right now, but I truly believe at this point now, with what I've read today, this did a lot to my brain right here. But between this today and all the other stuff we've been looking at, and I've been looking at by myself, this was not supposed to go to trial. And Eddie told me almost 3 years ago, Dago, this is not going to trial. It's not supposed to go to trial. It cannot go to trial. It will not go to trial, period. And I'm like, oh, whatever. You're full of shit.
Eddie called it from the get-go.
And he did. Every aspect of it, he's called it, because he's been
Yep.
looking at it from, inside out. And it was never going to happen, in my opinion, at this point. I can very comfortably say this was never going to have a trial. This was every aspect of this happened exactly how it was supposed to, all the way down to the end right now. And they knew, I feel like they knew that the entire time. They used the family to
Yep.
do what they had to do, clear to the end, and then boom. This is insane, you guys.
And Steve was the goat.
He was the patsy. I mean, they used him to do every bit of what they needed to do.
And he did it.
He did. I mean, they knew he was going to, because of the way he reacted initially. When they saw his initial reaction to the situation, they said, he's the one. He's the one. That's the tool. Here we go. And they used him, and he did exactly what they expected him to do through the whole thing to the very end, in my opinion. Which was what, Wade Bird? It's not even just that, Dustin. I think people would have probably lost their lives if this would have went, or at least been threatened to, if this would have went to trial. A whole bunch of other names would have came out of this, I think. The people within the government would have been put out there. The whole thing was not going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. It could not happen.
It couldn't happen.
It just couldn't happen. It was never going to happen. But they have to make it look good. It's got to go by the rules of the law to some extent. It just was never going to happen.
And we want to get as close to trial as we can before it, boom, doesn't happen. We got to say we were ready for it. We were ready for it. We were ready for it. But, oh, Surprise.
Ed, I swear to God, Eddie, we're gonna have to have a talk. I want to know who he works for. I'm just saying because,
Eddie.
dude, he literally, we talked about this in 2023, early 2023, and he was like, "I'm telling you, listen, we've had talks on the phone. This is how I see this. This is how I see that. This is what I see here. This is what I see there." I'm all right, dude. Come on, telling you, and he always refers to it as the script.
Yep.
100%. I see this as a whole now, folks, and this was never gonna happen. I don't care what anybody says. This was not ever gonna happen. Brian, the day that they got Brian's name, he was done. That was the end of it. Now, can something happen with him? I have no clue. I don't see how now. I don't see how they would allow that. If they went this far to put him where he's at now, I don't see how they're going to allow him to get out of this.
Unless something comes up and someone's brave enough, like you said, to.
If anybody were to come forth, that good luck finding that person. This is crazy. Like, I knew this was crazy, but this is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
It's unfathomable.
I was going to get into the Garza thing versus Idaho tonight, which is something I've been looking into, and I'm not going to play that tonight, guys. It'd probably be a little bit of it's not very long. I'll play it tomorrow because I'm just burnt right now. My brain is like bubbling. Okay.
Are you just fried?
I've been fried, but I'm real fried right now because this was like some of this stuff as I was reading this, it's just blatant in your face. Blatant. And I'm thinking, like, reading this, that Anne was seeing this going, what? What? And I think she realized what I just said. They weren't going anywhere. No matter what she presented, no matter how she presented, no matter who she brought forth, no matter what came out, they weren't going to go anywhere. Except right here. And I think this was always the plan. They were always going to drop a plea deal on this because, I mean, he's known for it. But I think especially in this situation, they were always going to drop a deal on him. There were threats in the background, and he had no choice but to take the deal. And the story.
And it's just so sad. It's so sad. Because if it's not the right guy, then there's been injustice for 4 beautiful, innocent, young, aspiring people.
They never got to start their life, and it's the listen.
Those are the true losers. I mean, those are the true. I'm not going to say losers,
as much as
but
I love this country, our government has made minimal sacrifices for the better of the world, as they put it, or the better of the government, or something like that.
And some big mistakes, Dago.
Many
mistakes.
a time, guys. There's certain wars we've gone into. They've made sacrificial things happen to people. Well, we've lost some soldiers, but it's for the better of the country.
Of the country.
That's how this would probably be. If it ever came out, it's probably going to be looked at that way. It's disgusting to me. It's not okay. But
I mean, you can basically just say a 5th person lost his life too.
He did.
I mean,
and I feel like if Brian doesn't do something, or they don't choose to do something soon, he won't be with us much longer either, because
oh no,
I'm almost positive he sees this for what it is. It's just my opinion, but I truly feel like he almost could see this for what it is.
I just can't imagine if I was Brian and I was really innocent. Or I can't imagine on the flip side if I was the actual person that did it and not in Brian's shoes.
Dago, what investigations are still active around this case? As we said today,
the leak investigation, that's never going to come out. Nothing's going to come from that. Nothing. Nothing's going to come from that, in my opinion. I'm calling that now. That there will never be an outcome from that stupid investigation
leak.
into the leaks. Don't ever expect that. That's my call. And I'm telling you right now, if something happens and I'm wrong, then whatever. I do not anticipate seeing anything come from that, folks. That's just going to be rolled over at some point and forgotten, and that's the end of it. They claim it's still ongoing. I don't believe that.
Pavarotti made a statement about it today in his video. I'm gonna rewatch that video when we get out of here and see what it was about. I can't remember exactly what he's talking about.
He's been on for some, like, he's caught on to some things and pointed some things out. Some things I think he's had twisted up a bit, but so has the rest of us. So I get it. But this is way crazy, y'all. And I'm telling you, that's why I think that Cy said what he said the way he said it, because it's absolutely what I believe that it is now.
And I don't know if he's.
I think Cy was a very important part of this.
That's why they shut him down.
Exactly.
I don't think he has come out and made a statement since then, but I don't
He hasn't. He hasn't said a word because.
What can he say?
He couldn't. Everything was gagged, and there's nothing he could have said. And now they have to wait till, if they unseal his documents, that he does. And even then, I expect that he'll be careful of what he says, because he's a professional. He has, he has to portray himself a certain type of way, and he can lose all he has too if he's not careful in some aspects. So he's got to be careful how he says things.
Keep an eye on that.
I'm right there with you, Doc, and I don't know that there was. I think they just said that to make it look good. They had to say something like that so that everybody sees, okay, that's not good. We got to make a big deal about that, and did nothing. I don't believe there was. I don't think there ever was an investigation, because why would you investigate something you already know about?
That was my question, Dago, is like, can we even call this an investigation? Because I really do think that you and I and Twiz and Willie and Eddie could probably do a more productive investigation than what they did.
We would have probably done a real investigation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not going to. They've kept everything sealed that they need to keep sealed. They give you just enough for us to go, okay, I guess I kind of get it now. I guess whatever did it, okay. And that's it. We're never going to get any more than that.
We're never going to get the answers that we want or need. And we're never going to get the answers answered that we are questioning.
Right. And Docket, with what you just said, dude, at this point, what else can anybody do? I agree with you. I don't know that there ever was an investigation, and I'm right there with you. And yeah, I've liked a lot of Pop's stuff lately too, but today it felt like he was just adapting to what's happened. And that's what I think a lot of people are doing, because there's nowhere else to go. Like, we can only go so far, and I think we've all come to that wall now, and we're like, okay, I think we see this, but are we ever going to see this? You know what I mean? And the answer to that, I think, is no. They're not going to let us see anything more than what we need to see. And it'll be just enough for us to go, okay, I think I get it. And then they'll be like, see, there we go. They're confused, but they think they understand. Let them be. That's all they want. And then everybody eventually will shut up about it, because they think they understand it, and it's not what it is at all. I'm just saying, I feel bad, because I kind of worry about this kid. I don't think he had, I'm just telling you right now, I'm almost positive the kid had nothing to do with this. And I'm worried because of the way he is, that he's going to get himself hurt. And I think in a sense,
worse.
That's what I mean. Like, hurt bad. Okay. Yeah. To where, he's gone.
He may no longer be with us.
That's it. And I think that's kind of in a way what they want.
Absolutely. So people will shut up about it.
And like I told you guys last week, if something happens to Brian, this is done. It's over.
Oh, absolutely. Somebody's gotten away with murder.
There's
Literally.
no appeals. There's no nothing else. It's over with. Wash their hands. Move on to the next case, and
Yep.
don't ever let something like this happen again. Is what it's going to be said.
And Dago, I will say this about this case. I used to think defense attorneys were crazy. And
I get
now
it.
I think prosecution are crazy.
Well, and that's a good point because
It depends on who you are.
now you
Absolutely, it comes down to the person.
and now you're going to question. Sadly, this case has caused some commotion.
You're going
and
to
a lot-
question everything.
Every defense case now we're going to look at and go, what did he really? You know what I mean? You know,
The Delphi case is one that was right before this one, and there was questions behind it, around it too.
Right,
So,
Doc, I agree with you, bro.
And I question juries because of
Listen, I question the entire judicial system at this point now. I've
Yep.
never seen anything like this or Delphi in my life, okay? Or what was almost happening to Karen. If she wouldn't have had a certain few things, she'd be gone too.
Yep.
It almost happened. So
I have never heard anybody have two trials like that and get found innocent in both of them.
yeah, and don't get me. I don't want to. Let me say something real quick. Doggett said, "I think that you may be right though, and it's hard to accept the injustice, but I don't know how to." And that's what I'm saying. But don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to stop looking at this, and I'm not going to stop trying to fight to prove how wrong this is. By no means, because this is my country. This is your country. This is our country. We don't deserve this, and nobody in this country deserves this. It's wrong in every aspect. I'm still going to push for truth and justice when this. I may be fighting an unending battle. I may be running into a brick wall for the rest of my life, but I'm still not gonna let go. That's all. Don't get me wrong. I'll find some way to point it out and
I was going
keep
to
it
say,
warm.
Dago, I might not be with you every day, but I do go through every day and see that you've been live about it every single day. And like a few days ago or like a week ago, I'm like, man, like Dago, that Dago guy, he is still going with this.
I can't let it go. That's the problem.
And
I
you
can't.
have been loud and proud and have been a voice, and I just want to say thank you, and I'm proud of you for doing what you're passionate about and keeping Brian's name out there, keeping this out there, because if it weren't for you, everyone would be shut up about it.
I mean, I don't know. There's others that are there.
There's
But
a
I mean,
whole-
there's a few others, but
I appreciate
if
it.
you
I
keep
do.
going, the less and less people there's going to be.
I agree. And that's why I won't. I can't. I'm very this when I realized that they basically spit on the Constitution with this, it just flipped me inside out. I said, like, what the fuck? This is no way. There's no way that we can just sit here and let this happen. Okay. And like I said, yep, they're sacrificing 5 lives to accomplish whatever the hell they're accomplishing. We can't allow that to happen anymore. And I think the more that we talk about it and keep pointing at it, like this is still happening, folks, then maybe
2025.
maybe that they'll realize that people are looking, they're watching. Okay. In
They
turn,
have to know that the true crime community is growing.
oh, it's been growing. And like I said, I know I'm not the only. Lana has been just as hardcore as me. Jules, me, Lana, and a couple others are just nonstop, okay? Because it's truly what we are passionate about, every one of us. In different ways, we do it in different ways, but in the end of it, the outcome's the same thing. So, I don't think we know how to stop fighting for truth, which is why we are all still here. No, I
It's
agree with
bigger.
you.
It's bigger than Brian.
And that's why this community, it's way bigger than Brian.
Because
That's why
not
this
to-
community has grown.
Not to change the subject, not too much. I'm just want to ask you something. Where was you at in 1986?
Me?
Yeah,
I was
1986.
2 years old. You were
I think I was
12.
playing Cowboys and Indians in my backyard with a stick.
Okay, so where was you at when the Challenger blew up?
When what?
I was sitting in my 5th grade classroom when we watched it on a TV when it happened.
When what happened?
The Challenger.
The
blew up.
Challenger.
You were a baby.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Okay, so that was at the time, that was one of the big monumental missteps that our country ever had. We had old President Reagan at the time, and he assigned
All right, Doc.
a group of investigators to investigate what actually happened so we can keep our space program going on. Well, long story short, because you have to watch the documentary, but the long story short, NASA was trying to cover it all up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of whistleblowers that was involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, well, it's because the first time teachers being in space, and it was
Kristen McCullough.
the president called in and we just push it through. Well,
Yep, I remember that.
they had this big, huge meeting the night before the launch, and all of them, from Thiokol's engineers, said, "Do not launch. Don't launch it because we can't guarantee our boosters is going to make it."
That's right.
The launch before this one barely made it up there.
That's right.
So
the only reason why they launched this was a whole bunch of political.
I brought that up because they at least did an investigation
Mm-hmm.
and looked and see what was going on in our space system and how can we change things. I think, and what I'm going with this is this. If we was that proactive in 1986 to look into our space systems, why can't we do the same thing for our judicial system?
In 2025.
We can. It has to be a want. They don't want to. They want to keep things under their control, under their thumb. We didn't get as involved back then because we had no way to. We didn't have the communication that we have right now. Have a good night, Docket and Tandy. Thank you so much, guys.
And the way I look at it is those 7 souls that morning that walked into that launch didn't have a freaking clue that these
once again, like I
these
said,
people are sitting over here arguing with NASA.
No, they didn't know that. Remember what I said earlier, Hemisphere, that the government sometimes makes sacrifices for the better of the country and of whatever they need it to be. Well, that was another one. Very sad, but it was another one. And then they honored these people like they were the best thing in the world and give their families all sorts of great things, when in reality it could have been completely avoided. But they chose to be selfish. And on the political aspect of it, they pushed it forward. That's what's sad about this country. It's been going on forever. I watched the documentary on the Challenger. It's scary.
Yeah, yes, please. There's one in particular that really, really goes in deep dive into it.
There is.
And it's got several whistleblowers from NASA.
Eddie knows. Eddie's into that stuff. He watched those too. We've talked about that before too. But Krista McCullough was the first teacher ever to go in space. Her class was watching. We were all watching. Every student that I can think of, were sitting in our classroom watching. The ship blew up in our faces, and we were like, "What?" You know what I mean?
Students had to sit there and watch it live.
It was awesome. It was a big thing because that was part of President's.
It was on delay.
Promise to get reelected was.
Yeah, that was a whole political thing.
And all that. So
you're right.
So it was a big deal because the whole country, every student, or all the schools around the country anyway.
Am I wrong?
Pretty much shut down for the day. We had like PE all day, and we was just going to sit around and watch this lunch.
Yeah, I know that's what it came out to be. Midnight was that they knew the day before that this could happen, and they still pushed it forward. But the astronauts did know. That's the thing.
No, the astronauts didn't have a clue.
No.
The
But the
actual people
engineers
that they were
fought.
sacrificing didn't know.
The engineers fought hard to get NASA to stop the launch, and it was their own bosses that pretty much
NASA
turned
told them,
against its own engineers into no, we're going to go ahead because
they
it was all about they
they
had
threatened.
a $1 billion contract with NASA, and NASA was also going to other agencies to get their boosters.
It was $1 billion.
It was a lot of money. That was
It
a
was,
whole
it was
lot of
over
money.
$1 billion.
And NASA
$1 billion
basically,
in 1980 was a lot of money.
you
So
ain't lying.
I mean, it's still a lot of money, but it was way a lot of money then.
It was an
so
unheard of amount of money then.
that call put that's the reason why they pushed it because they didn't want to lose that contract.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all about money.
And they basically told the engineers to shut up and threatened them. You don't say nothing and blah, 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 blah. But they all ended up coming out afterwards. It's just
It,
insane. Our
it was
government has
like
done this forever.
there was like two of them that had seminars all around the country talking about that right up until they practically dead. They
Yeah.
died.
And that's when they started coming out with and non-disclosure agreements and NDA, those kinds of things after situations like that, because they had people signing off on different shit left and right. You can't talk about this, you can't talk about that, blah 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 blah, and people were trapped in these things. It's insane.
And I think it was just that our space system should be a inspiration for our country to follow because it was it Challenger or Discovery?
Discovery.
Discovery was after Challenger that blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Or did well, I say blow up. They made it to space. All of them doing all their experiments up there. And the whole time they're up there, there's a hole in the wing.
Do you know how many of our space missions have had problems? Almost every single one of them have had some form of a problem.
I was going to say, I bet a lot.
Not as dramatic as Challenger, but almost everyone, going way back to like the 60s when it first started, almost every one of them have had some form of a problem.
And I'm sitting there, I can't. It baffles me that these people are sitting up there in space with a hole in the wing, and nobody on the ground that knew about it didn't bother telling them or anything. It's just like a whisper in their prayer. Hopefully they'll make it.
They'd get in trouble.
Midnight says, no, I mean the astronauts didn't die immediately when the explosion happened and that they were awake and alive all the way to the ocean. See, I understood that it was, well, they made the world believe that it was as soon as it, like, on impact, they were gone. But there was talk about something about a period of time. I don't know if it was that long, but a period of time that they were still okay, possibly, and then they were gone. I have to go back and watch the one to catch that part of it again. But this whole thing, it's just it's all, guys, everything that we have ever talked about within this type of stuff and anything that goes on that we see daily, it all relates to two separate things. And they're always the same things: money and politics. Period.
Yep.
Nothing more and nothing less. Money and politics. End of story.
I'll agree with that.
That was a great movie, Nothing. I love that movie. So these are facts, guys. It's just facts. That is exactly what runs this world. Not just this country, but this world. Money and politics. And it's never going to change. It's always going to be that.
We could talk about conspiracy theories. Some folks don't think that Apollo 13 happened. I
know. I've seen it. I don't go into that stuff because it turns into a huge argument. I questioned it myself, but I have my own thoughts.
But that was back in 1969. I was born in 1977, so who am I?
Yeah. I get it. All right, guys. I'm burnt the hell out. burnt out. Like my brain is like bubbling, like I said. Well,
I'm
that's all.
gonna. Are these new document? Is this a new document that came out that I can read?
No, this is from February, but it was
Oh.
from the completely January 23rd. They had a hearing that was completely blacked out. We didn't see any of it, and that was the transcript from that hearing.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, JC, I've covered just about every hearing ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in every document ever. I've never seen that before tonight. So, or today. I'm sorry.
And that's why you're so.
I'm just. It's been days upon days upon days. I'm just burnt out. My brain hurts. Literally, the brain,
Try to
not
go
the
lay
head.
your head down, take a break, get
Yeah,
some rest,
it's just. It's been
take
bugging me.
tomorrow off if you have to.
Yeah, I don't. That's not gonna happen. I can't do that. But it's been bothering me and bothering me and bothering me and bothering me. And then, knowing what is, even though I disagree with some of the things that Gonsalves did, I feel for them for what was done to them too. First off, they lost a child,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
then they were used and
Yep.
abused and just blown the fuck off like they're nothing after what they lost already. That the responsibility lies in both aspects there, and it's
Yeah.
disgusting to me, and it's just
But for anybody,
unbelievable.
who to deliberately lie about the small things, will lie about the big things. So if you're on, and I'm talking about Steve G, I keep going back to that because he contradicts himself. You
Well,
can't say you're pissed off at him because you didn't get the justice that you want on one
but
hand.
he's never been told the real truth though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well,
So
no.
everything he's told us is not even true because he doesn't even know. But they're telling him that that's what it is, and it's so insane. It's unfathomable.
If the parents were, let's say this, if the parents was, it was all on the up, it didn't happen the way it happened, would they have gone to the, think about it, if they would have gone to his plea hearing, would they all reacted the way they did? I ain't gonna lie to you, I felt like that was kind of one of those sessions where you go to the psychologist and put
The
your feet up on the
psychiatrist
couch
for.
and just
Yeah.
all right, air out your grievances, make yourself feel,
They did that on purpose because they didn't give the families what they deserved. They knew that, and they knew that because that they screwed up with the families because they gave the plea deal. They all knew that. The state, the
Can the
prosecution,
families
and the judge. Okay, and in turn, that's why they let them do whatever they wanted to do.
can
Truly,
they file a civil suit or a wrongful death suit
absolutely, they
against the
can.
state?
Absolutely, they can.
Are they going to?
I hope so.
How long
I'm
is there a
hoping
statute of limitations for that?
that I don't know, but I'm hoping that I hope that they go to the Department of Justice
Oh yeah.
and stomp up and down until something is done. They deserve every aspect of that. And the fact that they were lied to by in every
Because
aspect.
now doesn't Steve kind of look like a fool now?
Of course he
I,
does.
I mean, he
Of
looked
course
like
he
a
does.
fool to me from the beginning, but
Right, but it's no fault of his own because
it's
he was just
yeah.
taking what they were telling him, and he knew that he wasn't getting truth, and it was like a double whammy there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's really sad. It is really sad.
well, if you're
Is
trying
Bill
to find,
Thompson retiring?
Yeah, he already did. Well, no, he didn't. He said he could run till 2027, but he said he might retire. He was gonna retire and said he stayed on for this. Kiss my ass. Um,
He needs to go.
Yeah.
And
Before
wouldn't that be I mean, I would think that I mean, I hope we don't go from bad to worse, but we could get someone just like him or somebody else and it could make a difference in the prosecution for the state of Idaho in the future cases.
I agree with Twiz right there, and yeah, you're right. He knows that Thompson lied to him. They're reading these reports, I think, little by little, and at some point they're going to get to him, and they're going to go, "Wait a minute." I agree
Yep.
with Twiz. I think they're going to see this for what it probably is at some point. My problem is I hope it's not too late. Okay. But I agree with Twiz on that one. That they're all gonna
yeah.
see this and go, wait a second, this is wrong. Okay,
Yep.
they already know that the crookedness of good morning, Anna, of the state themselves. I mean, you can tell he's done with Thompson. He thinks nothing of him at all. And he knows that they lied to him. He knows that they used him, and he's
Yeah.
gotta be humiliated, not to mention that they haven't even ever grieved right because they were so involved.
Right.
And at some point he's going to snap, in my opinion. I think Steve is just going to snap and flip the hell out and just go head first into this. And like I said, I hope that he does it right and he goes to the Department of Defense and they start screaming and yelling and stomping and banging until somebody notices them and says, okay, we'll look into this. That's what needs done.
Yeah.
And when
That
it
might be
happens,
the only thing that can be done.
that is, in my opinion, the only thing that can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why I bought that deal up about the Challenger, because
Yeah.
our higher courts has to hold the state courts accountable.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
And our legislature, Washington, D.C., has to hold them accountable.
The one thing that we all need to remember in a situation like this, though, you guys, think about it for a minute. There's always going to be somebody that knows somebody else.
Yep.
And there's always going to be that person that knows somebody. So there's always going to be a link, okay? There's always going to be a way for one person to get to one of these other people and one of these people to get to one of those people. So it's not always going to be a sealed deal. There's always going to be somebody standing on the outside, that is not on the up and up, and they will get to that person. Whether or not it'll ever take effect enough to where they can close this down, I could only hope. But it's got to stop. Things like this has to stop. Things like Letcher County has to stop. That's. Go ahead, JC. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I feel bad because I don't vote, like, I don't vote in the primaries or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just like, oh, it's like our local stuff, like whatever. But like in reality, your local is probably the most important to vote for.
Right. I can understand and agree with that. Yes.
I mean, in ways like this where, you have your, cities, your states, whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
people in those positions matter just as much or more than in, state and federal positions.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, if there's somebody at your local level that, you want to make a difference, you got to get out there and vote, vote your way.
I agree.
If you think something's going wrong, citywide or, just local town-wide, there's a chance, that's why they have the primary, so that you can make a change every, 4 years, but in between an election year, you know what I mean? So
we have to be the voice, guys. We're never going to. It's never going to change if we aren't. You know what I mean?
And it starts locally.
Yeah, you got to start small and build your way up as much as you can. So that's all there is. And yeah, nothing. I agree with that. Said that they may have to believe that to cope at this point. And if you think about it, she's right, because if they are to realize the full Monty of this situation, that could do them in. That's dangerous. Okay. So in a sense, I agree. They have to be able to cope with this in some aspect, which is why I believe that they're still sitting on Brian the way they are. Like I said, I'm not giving up on this, folks. I will not give up on this because I can't at this point. I put too much effort and heart and mind and soul into this. It's not going to happen. So, something has to come from this. And like I said, at some point, the more we talk about it, no matter how tired we get of it, no matter how much it doesn't change, it's somewhere, they're going to get tired of hearing it. Okay. And at some point, maybe like Twiz said, they'll hear us at some point somewhere. The Gonsalves might hear something, see something. If we keep going, and it'll finally, the switch will finally flip, maybe, and something will happen. That's all I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm giving up on anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just telling you, I see this for what it is, I think, now, and I see why all of the things have transpired the way they have, because it was not meant to go any further than it did. It never was. Never was meant to go any further, I don't think. It's just, see, Eddie said it the best way possible, and I fully agree with him that this was 100% by design.
I think that Anne played right into what they wanted to.
Of course she did, because she played by the rules. That's
Yep.
what they expected from her.
Yep.
Okay, because she is a good, no matter what people
They knew
say,
she was going to ask for a change of venue.
100%, just as much as we did. We knew she was going to do that too.
Yep, and she knew she was going to do it.
They knew every step she was going to make, because she's such a good attorney. She was going to follow rule by rule by rule, do the way that she needs to do it to make things happen. And she went right down the path that they had dug out for her until she couldn't go any further and hit that wall. And that's where we're at.
I wonder if it kind of screwed things up that she did get the change of venue.
No, because listen, I think that no matter what was going to happen, like I said, when I say
it was going to end up the way it did
by design, the design is the same design no matter where you're at. Like I said, that's my opinion. But
to hit a wall.
Yeah, it was not.
The design was going to hit a wall.
Yeah, it was going no further than it did.
Now,
not to say, I don't think she would give up if she sees this for what it is. I don't believe that she would give up on something like this. So, I expect that there's still something going on behind the scenes.
I do too.
And if you see this for what it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they'll keep pushing forward in some form. I think one thing is fact, though. I think Brian needs to get moved the hell out of where he's at. If that'll ever happen, I don't know, but I think he'd be safer if he did.
Oh yeah.
And maybe closer to home if that's possible. And I think he can work on it from a place that he's not under such scrutiny and under such a bullseye per se, a target. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It may take time. It may take a couple years. It may take 20
5 years.
Whatever. But at some point, I think that it will eventually unfold. Possibly something's going to break down somewhere. And I think that will be the answer. Now, I'm not saying that nobody's going to be able to do that. It's just going to take a lot more than what I think, anticipated that it would take.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not done with this. I'm not giving up on this. I'm not going to just sit back and go, okay, it's over. Bye. No. All right, midnight. Have a good night. It's getting late. I know, you guys. I'm sorry. But no, there's no end in sight for me. It's just, I'm just burnt tonight. That's all. It's a lot. I hope you guys that are leaving have a great night. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to shut it down, you guys. But that's where I'm at with this. That's what I see. That's what I feel. But I'll be back talking about it again. I'll be looking for more to point out and prove what's what any way I can to show what I think it is. So
yeah. All right, Diego, I will catch you if not tomorrow, hopefully Saturday.
Yeah, no problem.
But I mean I'll always watch the replay, but I will try to catch you on Saturday.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I hope to see you then.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Jace. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Hey,
Good night, guys.
They got more docs.
Do what?
Have they released any more docs other than the one we read tonight?
No, but they took off all the new tags. That's weird. They must be getting ready to do something. The case summary hasn't changed, but all but 2 of the little red boxes are gone, which is weird. You know how when I was showing you guys the page with the link, all these things they had little red boxes that said new on them. As of yesterday and the day before, those are gone now, except for those two right there, which we looked at those yesterday. It's weird. Very weird. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow's Friday. Good night, Lucy. Tomorrow's Friday, and like I said, from what I've seen, it's usually Tuesdays and Fridays where they drop these. And listen, guys, we got a bunch of shit to look at coming up. There's a bunch of these documents that are going to be unsealed. I'm going to read every fucking one of them. I'm sorry.
There you go.
I told you I'm not letting this go. I will read every damn document until something clicks for me or something falls out. Something's just, I'll continue doing what I'm doing. As long as they're there, I will keep reading them and looking for them, and that's just how it is. So, I thank you guys very much. Hemisphere, thank you for joining me, and you guys are awesome. Anytime. I appreciate everybody in the chat as well. You guys are amazing. I love every one of you guys. I appreciate every one of you guys so very much, and I will see you guys tomorrow, probably in the morning, I hope. I don't know what we're gonna get into in the morning, but I will be here for something. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Don't forget to love yourselves and love each other, guys. Don't change nothing. You guys are the beautiful people, and I will see you very soon. Good night, everybody. God bless.
Night.
Guilty, no one takes the blame. True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Black boots stomping, floors of regret. Ashtrays full, but we're not done yet. Clock ticks louder, the walls closing. Every shit tastes like original sin. Who's the killer? Who's the saint? Fingerprints smudge, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend. What's the start? What's the end? True crime cafe where secrets bleed. Truth a bullet, truth a need. True crime cafe where lies collide. Order up a story no one can hide. Who's the killer? Who's the saint? Fingerprints smudge, they don't paint. Truth or dare or just pretend. What's the start? What's the end? True crime cafe.